Chapter 1. At 19, I stand like a minion on an autumn day. The warm afternoon sun shines on the Hokage building. This building, which has been around for decades and is already a bit old, has been given a gilded halo. Inside the Hokage's office, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, wearing the Hokage's divine robe, quickly flipped through the list of 46-year ninja school graduates and the list of ninja team vacancies to be filled on his desk. Combining the strengths and weaknesses of each genin, they are combined into relatively balanced teams and matched with corresponding leading ninjas. The situation in the ninja world has become increasingly turbulent in the past 2 years. The increasingly frequent small-scale conflicts between the various ninja villages caused the reduction of many ninja teams in Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen was well aware that an organized ninja team was an important guarantee for ninjas to improve their mission success rate, survival rate, and combat effectiveness. Whether it is to prepare for a war that may break out at any time, or for the safety of subordinates. The arrangement of team members must be done with extreme caution. More than an hour later, he checked the draft grouping in his hand several times and confirmed that it was the best option he could think of at the moment. Sarutobi Hiruzen began to summon Jonin one after another. Akamichi Choza, Aburame Shimoi, Namikaze Minato, Uno Akaku, Kaime Kudo, Mimura Kanamaki, Yamanaka Kei. Before we knew it, it was almost evening. When he heard the knock on the door again, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up at the last Jonin he had summoned today. He was about 18 or 19 years old. A little over 1.80 meters tall, with a slender and straight figure from long-term exercise. Plus that short golden hair and handsome face. If it weren't for the dark circles under his eyes, he would look very listless. This handsome face alone would probably make countless Konoha girls toss and turn in the dead of night. Good afternoon, Hokage-sama. Yamanaka Kei had a look of fatigue on his face and raised his hand to greet Sarutobi Hiruzen. I stayed up late to practice until midnight last night, and this afternoon when I went to work, I had just caught up on some sleep when I was called to the first floor of the Hokage building to be on standby. Who can withstand this? Jing, you should relax once in a while, so that your practice will be more efficient. Sarutobi Hiruzen was already aware of how hard Yamanaka Kei practiced daily, and he didn't care about his lazy appearance. After saying a few words to show his concern, he went straight to the point of calling him over today. I have discussed with Hiei, Shikaku and the others and have decided to transfer you from the analysis team to the regular troops. Here is your transfer letter and subordinate information. Yes. Yamanaka Kei took the document, put the transfer letter into the ninja tool bag at his waist, and looked at the subordinate's information in his hand. Yamanaka Keiichi had already informed him before, and he was prepared for the transfer from the intelligence department. Just transfer into the regular ninja team and bring a few genin with them. You can take a break at will after completing 1 or 2 missions each month. Just think of it as a change of place to fish. But when he saw 3 familiar names, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in surprise. Yuhi Kurenai, Might Guy, Genma Shiranui. Have these 3 ever worked as a team? That's not right. Shouldn't Ebisu be the teammate of Might Guy and Genma Shiranui? Besides, they are not graduates of this year. For new green leaves to thrive, they cannot do without the patient guidance of their predecessors. Just as the will of fire is passed down from generation to generation, it is now up to you to lead the new generation of children. Sarutobi Hiruzen obviously did not explain in detail to Yamanaka Kei why he had chosen this grouping idea, and he just promoted his will of fire. Please rest assured, Hokage-sama. I will teach them carefully. Yamanaka Kei suppressed his doubts, put away his lazy attitude, and made a serious promise. Sarutobi Hiruzen was obviously very satisfied with this attitude. After instructing him to report to the Jonin standby station tomorrow and go directly to Konoha's 4th training ground to pick up the people, he waved goodbye and let him leave. Walk out of the Hokage building. Yamanaka Kei said hello to a few familiar ninjas and walked towards the Yamanaka clan's territory towards the sunset. Just halfway there, a mechanical prompt sound suddenly rang in his mind. Ding! System repair completed, database sorting completed, energy absorption progress has reached 100%, system hibernation ended, and the occupation entry system is enabled. Personal panel is open, exploration function is open, entry extraction, gifting, copying, upgrading, and stripping functions are open. Profession binding completed, bound profession, ninja. Complete career tasks and career events to get the chance to extract, give, copy, upgrade, and strip entries. The novice gift package has been opened, and you will get 3 chances to draw entries and 1 chance to give away items. Yamanaka Kei paused slightly, his expression became unnatural for a moment, and then returned to normal in an instant. As usual, he packed a fast food at a roadside restaurant and returned home as usual. 5-way anti-sensing barrier. Activate. Making the way seal with his hands, Yamanaka Kei activated the chakra in his body and slapped the ground with one hand, activating the barrier that had been set up at home a long time ago. Buzz! A light blue translucent barrier enveloped the entire room. The intricate runes on the barrier flickered slightly, completely isolating everything in the room from the outside world. Yamanaka Kei stood in the middle of the living room, his expression changing several times, and finally after letting out a long breath, he sat quietly in front of the coffee table. He had imagined cursing loudly at this system that was 19 years late when it was activated. I have also fantasized about crying and laughing loudly, venting my dissatisfaction and excitement. It was just that perhaps all the dissatisfaction and resentment he had felt in the past had been worn away over a long period of time, and when this moment really came, he was much calmer than he had expected. Host. Yamanaka Kei occupation, ninja. Activated entries. Traveler, red, master of yin dun, purple, handsome, blue, a little bit of knowledge, green. Inactive entries. None entries extracted. 3 entry gift. 1. Time traveler, red, as a time traveler, you have lived 2 lives as a human being. The strength, growth rate, and growth limit of your soul and mental power are greatly improved. Yin Tun Master, purple, after more than a decade of intensive study and training, you have almost perfectly mastered the nature transformation and form changes of various yin-tun ninjutsu. Your efficiency in learning, studying, improving, and creating yin-tun ninjutsu has been greatly improved. The release speed, power, and effect of yin-tun series of ninjutsu have been greatly improved. Your resistance to yin-tun series of ninjutsu has been greatly improved. Handsome, blue. A person favored by the world, born with extraordinary looks, with increased affinity and attractiveness to the opposite S**X. A little bit of knowledge, green, you have been exploring the memories of ninjas for a long time, and have gained a lot of information and knowledge from them. Through continuous practice, you have initially mastered multiple attributes and types of ninjutsu, and your learning speed and memory have been slightly improved. It's worth my hard work and training for more than 10 years. Yamanaka Kei's lips curled up in satisfaction when he saw the detailed explanation of his entry. Without hesitation, he immediately began to extract new entries. Chapter 2. Clap your hands and whatever you shout will come true. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the white entry, cricket pupa, the black entry, brain opening, and the purple entry, whatever you shout comes true. Cricket pupa, white, under specific stealth actions, the concealment effect and stealth speed are slightly improved, and the personal image is greatly reduced. Brainhole opening, black, the probability of suffering an accident to the head is greatly increased, the hardness of the skull and the recovery speed are greatly reduced, and the probability of death is slightly increased. Whatever you shout will come true, purple, the precise control of chakra allows you to abandon the cumbersome hand seals and shout whatever you shout to come true when you have sufficient proficiency in ninjutsu. The control of chakra is greatly improved, and the speed of releasing ninjutsu is greatly increased. What the hell is this? Yamanaka Kei frowned. Although when he saw the entry titled, "A little bit understood," just now, he vaguely felt that his system might be a bit abstract. But I never expected it to be so abstract, except for the last entry, which is suspected to be related to first Hokage Senju Hashirama. The name is a bit weird, but the effect is still good. The first two entries are really hard to describe. Once the term cricket pupa is used, it basically means losing the right to choose a mate in Konoha. And brain opening actually means actually opening a hole in the head? This entry is specifically used to harm people? Yamanaka Kei thought for a moment and took a look at the entry granting opportunities that came out of the novice gift pack. I was thinking in my mind that if I ever became enemies with someone, I would make arrangements for him. This kind of pure debuff may be used correctly by placing it on the enemy. I thought about it for a while. Yamanaka Kei just activated the purple entry, "Whatever you shout, comes true." The next moment, an indescribable feeling of enlightenment came over me. The densely packed chakra meridians in the body seemed to be engraved in the mind, clearly visible in every detail. Every chakra is under your control as easily as using your fingers. Those ninjutsu that have been honed over and over again. At this point it's like it has become the body's instinct, and it can be released with the simplest guidance. Heart-transforming puppet curse seal technique. Yamanaka Kei made a no seal with one hand and pointed to the puppet doll used to practice ninjutsu at the side of the room. The puppet doll that was originally leaning quietly on one side of the room suddenly moved the next moment, and after moving its limbs slightly, it performed an extremely smooth physical skills display. Simplified seals, one-handed seals, it's really a magical skill to seduce people. Yamanaka Kei exclaimed in his heart and began to experiment with other ninjutsu again. The Yamanaka clan's unique hand seal when performing their family secret technique is a variation of the Mao seal and the Yu seal. It can speed up the mobilization of the yin-dun energy in the body, allowing the user to release the family's secret techniques faster. Functionally impeccable. However, since the feature is too obvious, enemies who have a little knowledge of the Yamanaka clan's secret techniques know that when they see this hand seal, they just need to keep moving quickly. After all, the Yamanaka clan's techniques are special secret techniques involving soul power. If you act without complete confidence and make a mistake, it will take some time for your soul to return to your body. During this time, even a young child could easily take his life. Now that the special hand seals have been abandoned, it is absolutely impossible to defend against them when they sneak attack on others. I tried various ninjutsu for a long time. Yamanaka Kei rolled out a Rasengan in his palm, feeling the stable chakra ball spinning at high speed, and the corners of his mouth couldn't stop curling up. All the various ninjutsu he often used could be done with one hand and in simplified hand seals, and the activation speed was more than twice as fast as before. Some of the more familiar ninjutsu can also achieve, clap your hands and whatever you shout will come true. As for those ninjutsu that are relatively unfamiliar and only roughly mastered, although it is impossible to simplify the hand seals, the release speed and the degree of control over the ninjutsu are greatly improved. In the fast-paced ninja combat, sometimes a difference of a few tenths of a second is enough to determine the outcome of a battle. Yamanaka Kei's strength is not weak among the Konoha Jonin. The attack speed has doubled directly, and the combat effectiveness displayed will undoubtedly be improved even more. I don't know if I can be on the cage level right now. Hold on, don't get carried away. Yamanaka Kei kept adjusting his mindset, repeatedly reminding himself not to follow the example of Izuku and waste time recklessly. After all, he didn't have Hazuka Suigetsu to help him ward off disaster, Nor did he have Jugo and Uzumaki Karen to help him prolong his life, and he didn't have a brother named Uchiha Itachi and a father named Otsutsuki Hagoromo. If this thing starts to float, who knows if it will be GG. Moreover, they are cage-level masters, and their strength is not just in their attack speed. Combat experience, tactical wisdom, ninjutsu matching, physical strength, nerve reaction speed, chakra amount. It's a long and arduous journey, however, as long as we don't rush directly into the encirclement of the enemy's large forces, we should be safe in the Third Ninja World War. Yamanaka Kei sighed inwardly. The nerves that were originally tense due to the approaching Third Ninja World War relaxed a little. Having experienced the Second Ninja World War, he knew better than anyone how cruel the battlefield was. It was a hell filled with blood and wailing. It is a slaughterhouse where humanity has been destroyed and only killing and numbness remain. Even though many years have passed, recalling his experience on the battlefield, he still feels frightened. Yamanaka Kei forms a seal with one hand. The 5 shadow clones that had been hiding and training deep under the mansion were instantly released. The exhaustion brought by shadow clones training and the fatigue after the pressure suddenly dissipated all came to his mind. I'm too lazy to fight my body's instincts anymore. Yamanaka Kei casually untied the 5-way anti-sensing barrier in the house, ate a hastily prepared dinner, and then threw himself onto the fluffy and soft bedding. A good night's sleep. The next day, the early morning sunshine dispelled the cool mist. The birds outside the window flapped their wings and chirped non-stop on the branches. Yamanaka Kei wakes up from his sleep. Looking at the clock on the bedroom wall, which had already pointed to 10 o'clock, I yawned lazily. The skyrocketing strength has brought enough sense of security. It made him sleep very soundly. Once you relax, your biological clock goes out of order. Yamanaka Kei rubbed his face, stood up to wash, and continued to study the functions of the system. The previous prompts clearly explain how the system obtains opportunities to extract, donate, copy, upgrade and strip entries. There is a chance to obtain it by completing career tasks and career events. As a Konoha Jonin, there was no need to explain what his professional mission was. And the big professional event? Ninja World War? Turning point in ninja world history? Major event in the movie? No matter which one it is, it seems that you need to actively participate in some dangerous events. Yamanaka Kei packed his ninja tool bag, put on his clothes, and turned to go out. Big events and the like can be skipped for now. For the moment, he decided to take his subordinates who had been waiting for the whole morning to check out the drop rate of normal ninja missions. Chapter 3. Brainstorming, let's go. It was almost noon on the streets of Konoha. The sun was shining brightly and there were many people walking around. Yamanaka Kei ate the Anko chestnut yokon he bought from Amakori-gon and strolled all the way to the Jonin waiting station. His eyes occasionally swept over the merchants, civilians, and ninjas on the street. These terms rarely appear on ordinary villagers. Even if there are any, they are mostly white or green entries that are of little use. Relatively speaking, the probability of a ninja having an entry is much higher, but not everyone has it, and blank ninjas account for a higher proportion. No matter which world it is, there are always more ordinary people. Yamanaka Kei sighed inwardly, threw the yokon wrapper into the trash can, and was about to walk into the Jonin waiting room. A 3-seater solid wood sofa shot out from the main door with a whistling sound. I didn't have time to see what happened. Powerful chakra energy burst out from the Jonin standby station. Then there was a loud bang. The glass of the entire Jonin waiting room exploded, and a crack about 10 feet deep on the ground reached all the way to the gate. Even the walls tilted and collapsed to varying degrees. A good Jonin waiting station turned into a dangerous building in the blink of an eye. Then, a basic, wind-style airflow dance quickly blew away the diffuse smoke and dust. It also revealed the 2 people who were still facing each other in the Jonin standby station. Uzumaki Kushina and Shimura Danzo, oink oink. A series of air-breaking sounds were heard, and 3 root ninjas wearing Anbu costumes and animal masks instantly appeared behind Danzo, showing an attacking posture towards Kushina. Yamanaka Kei narrowed his eyes slightly, moved his feet and appeared behind Kushina. Along with him came Akamichi Choza and Akamichi Duto of the Akamichi clan, Nara Suzaku of the Nara clan, Inazuka Ja of the Inazuka clan and Kurama Musakumo of the Kurama clan. As for the other Jonin who were originally in the Jonin standby station, perhaps he was intimidated by the power of the Hokage's assistant, or perhaps he did not want to get involved in the struggles among the top leaders. By this time, he had already disappeared. Shimura Danzo. I have made it very clear before, I will never give you the Uzumaki clan's sealing secrets. Uzumaki Kushina saw that he was not alone, and his already fierce momentum rose even more. Yamanaka Kei understood what he heard. No wonder, in addition to the Ino Shika Cho clans of the Hokage line, even the head of the Kurama clan stood behind Kushina. So Danzo has touched the bottom line of the ninja family this time? A nine-tails Jinchuriki who cannot control his emotions will only bring disaster to the village. I will ask Hiruzen to have you trained with the roots. Shimura Danzo's cold eyes did not contain any unnecessary emotions. He didn't even glance at Yamanaka Kei, Akamichi Choza, Kurama Musakumo and the others. After saying something harsh, he turned around and walked out. Uzumaki Kushina had a look of surprise on his face. Even Akamichi Choza and others were a little surprised to see him leave so easily. Yamanaka Kei had not seen the entire conflict and could not tell what Danzo's purpose was. But judging from the old man's current attitude of giving up easily, what he is plotting is probably not the so-called Uzumaki clan's secret sealing technique. It's not even really intended for Kushina to go for root training. After all, even if Sarutobi Hiruzen had his head kicked by a donkey, he would never allow Danzo to have the chance to get his hands on the control of Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Yamanaka Kei couldn't guess Danzo's purpose, but he was sure that the old man was up to no good. Before, he might have been unable to do anything to the other party due to the other party's identity and power. But now, system, give the entry, brain opening, to Shimura Danzo. A dark light that only Yamanaka Kei could see disappeared into Shimura Danzo's body in the blink of an eye. As Shimura Danzo was walking, he felt a slight chill on the back of his head. He thought that the malice of Uzumaki Kushina and others was too strong, causing his body to have subtle sensations, and he did not realize the coming of the crisis at all. Snap! The beams on the roof of the Jonin waiting room fell down with a distinct cracking sound. As a result, the entire building began to collapse rapidly. Yamanaka Kei and others instinctively used the body flicker technique to dodge away at the moment the beam broke. The 3 root ninjas who had been following Danzo were also moving quickly. Just after the rising smoke dissipated, the 3 root ninjas looked at each other, and not seeing Shimura Danzo, they hurriedly began to dig the collapsed ruins. Oh my god! Is this thing so powerful? Yamanaka Kei was surprised and delighted, and felt that the effect of the black entry was truly explosive. This had just been installed on Shimura Danzo, and the other party was buried alive. Ha 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 ha, people who do too many bad things will never have a good ending. Kushina put his hands on his waist and laughed at Shimura Danzo who was buried alive. Especially after the 3 root members took great pains to drag the ragged, bloodied Danzo out of the rubble, her laughter became even more hearty. Shimura Danzo, with a dizzy head, kept running his chakra and checking his body. Just now, when he was performing the body flicker technique, his calf suddenly and inexplicably cramped. The broken beam hit him hard on the forehead. If he hadn't used chakra to protect his vitals in time, he would probably have died by now. Is it the transplant of the Sharingan that caused insufficient chakra supply and muscle nerve disorders? Danzo felt his body and found nothing abnormal, so he could only attribute it to the aftereffects of the Sharingan transplant. Without paying any attention to Kushina, who came up to him and mocked him, he barely raised his arm and made a few gestures to his men. After simply bandaging him to stop the bleeding, the three root ninjas carried him quickly towards the root base. Yamanaka Kei looked at Danzo's back with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Name: Shimura. Danzo. Occupation: Konoha Shinobi. Entries: Single-eyed 3 Magatama, blue, wind style control, blue, brainwashing expertise, blue, seal grandmaster, green, do whatever it takes, white, ruthless and cruel, white, brainstorming, black. In terms of the number of entries, Shimura Danzo has the most of any person Yamanaka Kei has ever met. Especially those entries that are not related to combat. Brainwashing expertise, controls thoughts, seal grandmaster, controls behaviors, use any means to do anything, reduces popularity and increases goal achievement rate. And ruthless and ruthless, lowers the bottom line of human nature and increases deterrence. With a series of effects combined, it is no wonder that the roots it created could remain rampant inside Konoha for decades. Today's weather is really nice, thank you guys. Kushina was in a very happy mood and praised the weather, and began to thank the people who had just stood behind her. There was no trace of the blood-red pepper on her charming and sweet smile. You're welcome, Uzumaki Jonin. After nodding in greeting, Kurama Konyun maintained the demeanor of a clan leader and turned around and left slowly. He stood behind Uzumaki Kushina just now, only because Danzo's request for the Uzumaki clan's secret technique touched the bottom line of the ninja family. If Danzo had a different reason to attack, he would have left the Jonin waiting station early. Kushina didn't mind the other party's distant attitude. After turning around and talking to Akamichi Choza and others in turn, he slapped Yamanaka Kei, who was in deep thought, on the shoulder and spoke carelessly. Pig sister, long time no see. Chapter 4. Pure Evil Fate. I have said it many times, only those who are in the lineage of the clan leader will inherit the name, Ino Shika Cho. Yamanaka Kei looked at Uzumaki Kushina unhappily. What a weird name, pig girl. He is a grown man, male and female loving. He is neither the patriarch of the Yamanaka clan nor Sawani who rides a wild boar. How is it related to pig girl, oh my, who told you to be so cute when you were little, making people mistake you for a girl? Kushina smiled even more happily as she recalled the funny experience. You are the only one who misunderstands. Yamanaka Kei rolled his eyes speechlessly. Kushina entered the ninja school as a transfer student. As a classmate, he was one of the few people who didn't laugh at Kushina's red hair when she introduced herself. The first class had just ended. The other person ran up to him and asked where the women's restroom was and if he could go with her. It was as if people had mistaken his gender because of his overly handsome appearance when he was a child. Seeing an 8-year-old girl standing there with embarrassment and anxiety. Yamanaka Kei, who is an adult psychologically, naturally couldn't bear to put the other party into a more embarrassing situation, so he could only stand up silently and lead the way. Now that I think about it, their first meeting was purely a bad fate. Hee, Jane, what brings you to the Jonin standby station? Kushina put her hands behind her back, with a hint of anticipation on her pretty face. Ahem. I've been transferred to the regular troops and serve as the team leader Jonin. Yamanaka Kei took out the scroll containing the transfer letter from the ninja tool bag on his waist. Seeing Nara Suzaku, the person in charge of today's duty at the Jonin standby station, looking over, he raised his hand and threw the scroll over. Huh? That's great. We can see each other more often again? Well, let's talk later. My 3 poor subordinates have been waiting all morning. You're leaving right after we met. Never mind. I'll let you go this time. Come back early tomorrow. Report. See you tomorrow, see you tomorrow. Yamanaka Kei looked at the Jonin standby station, which had become a ruin. Seeing Kushina's expression stagnant, he counted on his fingers and began to calculate how much money he would have to pay this time. He hurriedly said hello to Akamichi Dingzo, Akamichi Tangdong and others, and disappeared on the spot with a body flicker technique. Konoha's fourth training ground. The autumn sun brought with it a gentle warmth, shining on the sweaty Might Guy and Genma Shiranui. The two of them were tirelessly carrying out the most basic physical training and ninja tool throwing training. The 10-year-old Yuhi Kurenai sat on a large tree stump practicing kunai throwing, swinging her calves out of boredom. Listening to the shouts of her new teammates during training and the occasional explosions of ninjutsu during actual combat exercises in the third training ground less than a kilometer away, she sighed softly. It was bad enough that in the first year after graduation, I was forced to work as a handyman in a logistics organization because my teammates gave up on becoming ninjas. Now that he has reassigned teammates, he is delighted that they are all familiar faces and very strong, and none of them will give up being a ninja easily. As a result, we met the team leader Genin, who was late for the first meeting for a whole morning. Although the assembly order only stated that we should gather at the fourth training ground in the morning, it did not specify the specific time. But it's already noon. Why is her ninja career full of disasters? While I was daydreaming, a faint fragrance like orchid drifted in with the autumn wind and lingered around my nose. Before Shihihong could figure out what flower's fragrance it was, something strange happened suddenly in the training ground. The originally flat ground began to bulge slowly. Might Guy and Genma Shiranui, who were in training, noticed the abnormality at the first time and quickly dodged away. Before Shiri-hong could jump off the tree stump and evacuate, a giant python with a head as big as 3 meters in diameter broke through the ground and quickly crawled out from underground. Facing the terrifying giant python that was as big as a mountain, an unprecedented sense of crisis swept over Yuhi Kurenai's body. The feeling as if every cell in her body was trembling and every nerve was frantically sounding an alarm made her hands and feet paralyzed. She dared not move at all for fear of attracting the attention of the giant python. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. The giant python raised its huge head slightly, and its cold snake eyes looked straight at her, actually making a hunting gesture. The sense of crisis of impending death almost overwhelmed her remaining sanity. "Move! Move! Move faster!" Shihihong screamed wildly in her heart, and her originally numb hands and feet burst out with unprecedented strength at this moment. But the giant python's attack speed was still much faster than her dodging speed. The stench coming from that huge, eerie mouth made her feel as if she smelled the breath of death. Ah! Just as the arrow was about to be shot, accompanied by a loud shout, a green figure shot out from the side of the giant python. With one kick, the giant python's head was moved 2 feet to the side, causing Shiri-hong to pass by the huge mouth. Boom! The giant python, which missed its target, raised a huge cloud of dust on the ground and let out a hissing roar. As the snake's tail swayed, it seemed to be unharmed. Genma Shiranui knew that the three of them could not be a match for the giant python, so he grabbed Yuhi Kurenai, who had barely avoided the python's attack, and ran away while throwing a series of smoke bombs, then turned around and shouted loudly, "Guy! Run!" Might Guy, who succeeded in his attack, was also quick to move and quickly retreated following the two men's footsteps. Perhaps because she had been on the brink of life and death, Yuhi Kurenai's thoughts were clearer than ever before. As soon as Shiranui Genma finished speaking, she immediately added, "Run to the direction of the third training ground. There are Jonin who are testing Genin there, who has a red flare. Quick!" "Clear!" Might Guy reached for the ninja tool bag at his waist. Before he could even pull out the flare, the scene in front of him shattered like a mirror. The three people who were trying to escape rushed far away due to the inertia of their bodies. He almost collided head-on with a large tree whose trunk was more than 1 meter in diameter. After barely steadying themselves, The three of them were filled with shock as they looked at the giant python that had disappeared without a trace and the training ground without any signs of damage. Snap, snap, snap. Applause came from one side of the training ground. Yamanaka Kei, wearing a black combat uniform and a Genin vest on his upper body, walked out from the shade of the trees beside the training ground. Enough patience, extraordinary courage, excellent teamwork, and the right choices in times of crisis. Congratulations on passing the assessment. I am your new team leader, Genin Yamanaka Kei. Please give me your guidance in the future. Youth will never let down anyone who works hard. I'm Might Guy, and I hope Mr. Jing will give me more guidance in the future. Although Might Guy was frightened by the illusion that was hard to tell whether it was real or fake, he still gave a thumbs up and revealed the big, shining white fang. I am Shiranui Genma, please give me your guidance. Genma Shiranui also forced himself to stand up from the ground and bowed seriously. Shihihong, please give me more guidance in the future. Yuhiko's pale face slowly regained some color. While saluting, she was madly complaining about her team leader Genin in her heart. It's so rude to start the assessment right away without even saying hello. She really felt like she was almost dying just now. But, what a powerful illusion. Chapter 5. The sun is shining and the wind is gentle. Because her major is illusion, Kurenai Yuhi knows much more about illusion than Might Guy and Genma Shiranui. The more she understood, the clearer it became to her how powerful the illusion that the young Genin in front of her had just released was. Use that special light fragrance, similar to the olfactory illusion method, to pull people into the illusion without their knowledge. Then, within one breath, the sense of smell, vision, touch, taste and hearing are interfered with and affected. And the person being cast the spell has no idea that he or she is under an illusion. This kind of performance alone is beyond the reach of ordinary A-level illusions. There was also that kind of completely unreasonable, cold murderous aura, as if facing a real giant python. What is obviously affected is the most instinctive perception and reaction to danger deep in human genes, beyond the five senses. Plus the last and most important point, group magic. It can affect the five senses of three people simultaneously, and enable smooth communication between them without any sensory bias. This is at least a multiple combination illusion with A-level illusion as the core. Controlling the difficulty and effect of the ninjutsu. I'm afraid it can be comparable to S-level illusion. His own team leader, the Genin, actually used a combination illusion that was as difficult and powerful as an S-level illusion to deal with three rookie Genins? When you think about it this way, it's even worse. I always feel like you're thinking of something very rude. Yamanaka Kei saw the look in Yuhi Kurenai's eyes that looked at scum, and narrowed his eyes slightly, bending down to look directly into the other's ruby-like eyes. No, how could it be? Yuhi Kurenai avoided her gaze and flatly denied the criticism she had just made against her team leader Genin. Yamanaka Kei saw that the three little ones had completely forgotten that he was late for the morning because of his surprise attack and words. I thought to myself that children are really easy to deceive. As he turned and walked out of the training ground, he spoke again to the people behind him. Since you have passed the assessment, to celebrate the formation of the team, I will treat you to barbecue at noon, follow me. It's decided. Walk to Yakiniku Q while standing on your two fingers. If you can't do it, kick your legs 2,000 times. Might Guy was as responsive as always. Teacher Jing just mentioned skewers, not barbecue, so the destination should be Sanwiju. Genma Shiranui corrected him with a senbon in his mouth and drooping eyelids. Hey, is it the shop opened by the Inoshika-cho clans? I heard the prices are very expensive. A serving of venison fillet costs 500 ryo. Shihihong's eyes lit up slightly, and she secretly decided to put her image aside for the time being and have a good meal. Otherwise it would be too unfair to her for the shock she just had. The psychological endurance is pretty good. Yamanaka Kei heard the three little ones laughing and talking behind him, and a smile appeared on his face. The talents of these three are unquestionable. The most talented Might Guy has 3 entries: Hot-Blooded Youth, blue, Extreme Recovery, blue, and Thick-Browed Kappa, white. His passionate youth gave him self-discipline and a strong will to never give up that was beyond the reach of ordinary people. Extreme Recovery can allow him to recover faster after his body reaches its limit and reduce the chance of hidden injuries. The white character Thick-Browed Kappa, although it reduces charm and chakra stability, it also improves concentration and physical training effects. The effects of the 3 terms are superimposed on each other. The effect is enough to make 99% of Konoha's ninjas far behind. Yuhi Kurenai's talent is second only to Might Guy, with 2 entries: Psychic Power, blue, and Hallucination, green. The former increases the strength and upper limit of mental power, while the latter enhances the hallucinogenic effect of the illusion. If developed properly, the famous scene of Itachi's illusion should not happen again in the future. As for Genma Shiranui, there is only 1 entry for he who is near vermilion becomes red, blue. The effect is that with someone to teach and supervise, the learning speed and personal upper limit can be greatly improved. Although the number of entries is small, to be honest, it is not necessarily inferior to Shi Rihong's talent. The 3 little ones have both mentality and talent. Yamanaka Kei was sure that if he had paid a little more attention when teaching, the 3 of them would not have died halfway like in the original story. Future achievements will only be higher than the original. Just looking at 10-year-old Might Guy, 11-year-old Kurenai Yuhi, and 12-year-old Genma Shiranui. He couldn't help but sigh. When he first watched the anime, what he saw was passion and bonds. But when he really came to this world, he had been struggling in the ninja world filled with blood and fighting for more than 10 years. All he could see was cruelty. A child of 11 or 12 years old. In my previous life, I hadn't even graduated from elementary school. But in Konoha, children of this age have to face battles and fights head-on. This shabby place is really hard to like, Yamanaka Kei complained in his heart. Having lived 2 lives, he is no longer at the age of cynicism. But when faced with things in life that he couldn't stand, he still couldn't help but ask himself, should he do something? Mencius said, if you are poor, you should take care of yourself. If you are rich, you should help the world. Before, he lacked the ability and could only go with the flow under the rules of the ninja world, not daring to overstep the line in the slightest. Now that we have a system, 500 taels for a plate of venison, doesn't that mean we have to eat several D-rank tasks in one meal? Might Guy exclaimed, jumping forward on one hand while trying to count how much it would cost with the other hand. Don't count it. I heard someone say before that if you don't order anything particularly expensive, the average cost per person is 3,000 taels, which is about 3 times the cost of yakiniku Q. 3,000? A black shop? Might Guy was not a child from a rich family. When he heard that the average consumption per person was 3,000 taels, he was so scared that he staggered and almost fell headfirst to the ground. Yuhi Kurenai looked at Yamanaka Kei, who hadn't spoken to the 3 of them for a while, and cautiously leaned over to take a look. Seeing that his face looked a little heavy, I thought that he didn't know the specific situation of Sanwiju before, and just subconsciously wanted to treat his subordinates to something good. Now, after hearing what Genji and Shiranui said, he was also shocked by the price. The kind little girl finally chose to temporarily forgive Yamanaka Kei for almost scaring her to death. He opened his mouth cautiously to explain, Teacher Jane, I actually think ramen is delicious too. Huh? Ha, ha ha ha. Yamanaka Kei was stunned for a moment, then he understood what Yuhi Kurenai meant and couldn't help laughing out loud. He raised his hand and rubbed the little girl's head. Seeing the little girl with a red face, wrinkled nose and shyly fixing her hair, he made up his mind. He really had to do something. It's not about the nonsense and worthless wool of fire. It's not for the sake of peace in the ninja world which is impossible to exist. He simply felt that today's sunshine was very bright, the wind was very gentle, and the people he met were very lovely. Chapter 6. King of Understanding. No one understands better than me. The food at Sanmi no I was more delicious than what Yuhi Kurenai, Might Guy, and Shiranui Genma had imagined. And when I found out that Yamanaka Kei actually owns 40% of the shares in this store. Not only did they not have to pay for meals, but they could also receive a large dividend every month. The three little ones decisively chose to eat to their heart's content. Even Shi Ri Hong, who had the most elegant eating manners, was so bloated after wolfing down the food that she could hardly stand up straight. I sighed in my heart. She actually worried that a Konoha Jonin who had a bad personality and was willing to use ultimate-level combination illusions on Genin was short of money. It turns out that she is too stupid and naive. Teacher Jane, when do we start the mission? After eating and drinking his fill, Genma Shiranui took the initiative to ask about the team's next plans. Upon hearing this, Yuhi Kurenai and Might Guy looked at Yamanaka Kei with burning eyes. Among the three-person team, Genma Shiranui and Might Guy have not taken any missions for a long time because Ebisu has switched to civilian work. With his pockets cleaner than his face, he lived a hard and simple life. Although Shirihong had worked in logistics for nearly a year and had a considerable amount of savings, she had never carried out many missions before being forced into the logistics team. She was also full of expectations for carrying out the missions. Facing the expectant eyes of the three little ones, Yamanaka Kei, who was still waiting to see the system's explosion rate by completing the career mission, naturally would not delay. We can go to the mission issuing office later. The footsteps of youth are about to start galloping again. Might Guy jumped up from his seat, looking very excited. But before he could show off his signature moves, he bent his waist slightly, holding his full stomach. Seeing Shiranui Genma's speechless look, he added again without changing his expression. Youth will always have some occasional flaws, but don't worry. I will definitely give 200% of my enthusiasm and sweat to the task this afternoon. Yes, 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 Shiranui Genma sighed. Even though they had been teammates for 2 full years, he still couldn't do anything about Might Guy's personality. Shihihong held her chin with one hand and looked at the two noisy people with a smile. I always feel that my future life will be very interesting. In Nakayoshi village, more than 10 kilometers southwest of Konoha village. A huge wild boar weighing over 1,000 pounds, like a mobile fortress, with more than 10 kunais sticking out of its body that were only an inch deep in the flesh. Its eyes were red as it rushed around like crazy. The walls and simple traps along the way were smashed to pieces, as if they were made of paper. Might Guy and Genma Shiranui kept feinting from the front to create opportunities for Kurenai Yuhi to perform spells behind them. After trying several times, just now, Shi Ri Hong used the magic "this is not technique" to confuse the wild boar's vision. Successfully lured the wild boar into the trap just designed. The wild boar fell into the deep pit and was pierced through the body by more than 10 steel forks erected in it. After roaring and struggling for more than 10 minutes, it slowly died. The three people, who were exhausted, wiped the sweat from their foreheads and breathed a sigh of relief. Yamanaka Kei, who stood on the roof and observed the entire process without taking any action, wrote down the strengths and weaknesses of the three people in the mission one by one. Just as I was about to make a few comments, a familiar system prompt sounded in my mind. Ding, the D-level professional task, eliminate the wild boars that destroy the farmland, has been completed, and the reward is none. Complete the career mission for the first time, get 2 entry extraction opportunities, 1 entry gift opportunity. Yamanaka Kei paused slightly. However, he didn't expect that the system would determine that he had completed his professional mission just because he killed the wild boar and before he returned to Konoha to submit a report. And because it was the first time to complete a professional mission. You will get 2 chances to draw entries and 1 chance to give away. As for not receiving any reward for the normal D-level mission, it was also within Yamanaka Kei's expectations. Probability is a matter of luck. Moreover, the probability of various rewards is likely to be directly linked to the difficulty of the task. A D-level mission that takes an entire afternoon, and most of the time is spent on traveling, would be great if I could get rewards every time. I'm afraid that within a month, Yamanaka Kei will be able to pull the 6 paths old man out of the Pure Land and beat him up. This broken system doesn't even have a detailed manual. Yamanaka Kei complained in his heart about the system's stupidity. Looking at the 2 opportunities to draw entries on the personal panel, I decisively chose to draw first. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the blue entry, Memory Palace, and the white entry, Broken Skin and Tough Life. Memory Palace, blue. The combination of talent and training allows the brain to be well developed, and one can become proficient in using the Memory Palace method, which increases learning speed, speed reading ability, and memory. Fragile Skin and Tough Life, white. Before your physical strength reaches the Genin level, the probability of encountering a strong enemy increases. The probability of encountering a life and death crisis increases slightly. The probability of breaking through in battle increases slightly, and the probability of survival increases slightly. 1 blue and 1 white, that's fine. Yamanaka Kei looked at the detailed explanations of the 2 entries and directly chose to activate the entry, Memory Palace. Whether it is studying or researching, memory is something that should be improved as much as possible. As for crisp skin and tough life, for him who has already passed the novice stage, it is really useless. Moreover, it is likely that only people like the chosen protagonist can withstand this effect during the novice period. Otherwise, no matter how high the probability of breakthrough and survival is, you will not be able to withstand the continuous emergence of powerful enemies and crises. It is detected that the blue entry, Memory Palace, and the green entry, Know a Little Bit, can be merged. Do you want to start the fusion? Fusion. Yamanaka Kei hesitated for a moment and then chose fusion. Although this is the first time I have experienced the fusion of terms, both terms are related to learning ability and memory. No matter how much they integrate, they shouldn't get cheated. A huge amount of memories suddenly boiled over in my mind, and countless images flashed by quickly like slides. Even the long-forgotten memories of when he was 4 or 5 years old in his previous life became extremely clear at this moment. Kindergarten, elementary school, junior high school, university. Countless huge and complex memories are stored in the Memory Palace in different categories. Among them, the memory of watching the Hokage ninja anime and reading various related posts were stored separately. The memories of the previous life have been sorted out, and the memories of this life are unfolding like a scroll. Including those memories that were read from other ninjas' minds when he was in the analysis class, they were also stored completely. The boiling memories gradually calmed down. The system prompt sound also entered Yamanaka Kei's mind shortly afterwards. Fusion completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the blue entry, King of Ninja Realm. The King of Ninja World, blue. The perfect application of the Memory Palace method allows you to have a nearly unlimited memory. The vast memory of 2 lives allows you to know many life experiences, the secrets of the ninja world, and a variety of ninjutsu and secret techniques. It also improves your learning speed, speed reading ability, and memory. Damn! Why not just take off? Yamanaka Kei felt the clear memory in his mind, his eyes full of excitement. Chapter 7 Hey, hey, hey. For a time traveler, being familiar with the plot is the biggest advantage. And if you can remember some details in the plot, you can easily get things that ordinary people cannot get even after decades of hard work. It has been 19 years since Yamanaka Kei traveled to the Hokage world. Although at the beginning of the time travel, He recorded the plot that he could recall at that time in the form of pictographic pinyin. Even today, I still take it out and read it occasionally. But even at that time, what he could remember was very limited. It's more about the general direction of the plot, and it's difficult to get into the details of one thing. For example, he knows Shimura Danzo once discovered the threat of Akatsuki and killed Yahiko, which directly led to Nagato's blackening. But he had completely forgotten how the scam happened and whether there were other people involved because he had watched the show so long ago. It looks like we'll be busy next. Yamanaka Kei had a smile that was hard to conceal on his face. The blue entry obtained this time is the King of Ninja World, although the name is a bit weird. But to him, its importance is even higher than the previous purple entry. As long as it is used properly, the benefits it brings are absolutely immeasurable. Teacher Jane, the client is here. Shiri Hong stood in front of the trap pit, standing on tiptoe and raising her hand while shouting from afar. The girl's clear cry pulled Yamanaka Kei back from his beautiful fantasy. Jump down from the roof. Yamanaka Kei came to the huge trap pit and asked the client to sign and confirm the task letter. The three little ones who had just been called back to retrieve the kunai, steel wire, shuriken and other ninja tools they had just used, set out on their return journey. Four figures quickly shuttled through the dense forest, following the shortest path and heading straight towards Konoha. Taking advantage of the gap on the road, Yamanaka Kei also told the three about the mistakes that occurred and the shortcomings that were exposed in the previous mission. First of all, the biggest mistake in this mission. After meeting the mission client, the three did not even carefully ask the client for relevant information. He just hurriedly asked the client to take him to meet the target of the mission. Secondly, when he first saw the target, he did not observe it carefully, which led to a misjudgment of the target's defense capability. The wild boar had many shallow scratches on its body. Judging from the traces, the damage was probably caused by villagers using axes and bows and arrows. The adult villagers work in the fields all year round, so the power of the axes they swing and the arrows they shoot is not weak. In this way, we can roughly judge the target's defense capability and formulate a more appropriate combat plan. This way, there wouldn't be a situation where the three people stabbed the wild boar with kunai for a long time, not only failed to kill it, but also angered it and almost got injured. Finally, a frontal assault is not the only means by which a ninja can accomplish his mission. There are more than 10 powerful hallucinogenic smoke bombs in the ninja tool bag on Genma Shiranui's waist, and there is also a powerful anesthetic in the small medical bag on Kurenai's waist. Even on the barren hills outside Nakayoshi village, there are some deadly poisonous weeds and insects. They are not ordinary villagers who have survived for generations by relying on the experience of their ancestors and who don't even know how to read. Catch 2 poisonous insects and pick 2 poisonous weeds. Simply mix it according to the recipe taught in the ninja school textbook. As long as it is used properly, it can knock down not only a wild boar but also an elephant. Yuhi Kurenai, Might Guy and Shiranui Genma were all embarrassed by what Yamanaka Kei said. The excitement of successfully completing the task also disappeared completely. When Yamanaka Kei saw the depressed expressions of the 3 little ones, he realized that teaching children cannot be done by just criticizing them without praising them. Then he changed the subject and talked about the advantages of the people just mentioned. It is worth affirming that you all have excellent team awareness and always trust your teammates. Even if it is the first time to cooperate in a mission, you have fully utilized everyone's strengths. He's also good at adapting to changing circumstances. After realizing that his original plan wasn't going to work, he used the dried-up reservoir to quickly build a deep pit trap. Finally, he knew to preserve the client's property and try to avoid additional losses during the mission, which is also commendable. Overall, I am, well, quite satisfied with your performance. Yamanaka Kei gave the final verdict with a smile. Yeah, The three of them high-fived each other in celebration, and at the same time, they secretly decided that they must perform better in the next mission. There was a commotion for a while. The thoughtful Yuhi Kurenai once again turned the topic back to this mission. Teacher Jane, if the person who carried out the mission was you during your Genin period, what would you do? Of course. One ninjutsu killed it in 1 second. What? Genma's fire style just now only produced the smell of roasted pig hair. How could Genin's ninjutsu kill such a big wild boar in seconds? I am a member of the Yamanaka clan. It is not difficult to control a wild boar to jump into a river and drown, or to control it to hit a mountain and commit suicide. This ninjutsu is too cunning, ha ha ha. The four of them laughed and joked all the way until night fell and the sky turned pitch dark, and they finally managed to make it back to Konoha. After having dinner at the newly opened Ichiraku ramen restaurant and setting a meeting time for tomorrow, the four of them went their separate ways and returned home. We walked all the way to the Yamanaka clan's land. Yamanaka Kei saw the lights in his home from a distance, and a question mark slowly appeared in his head. With one hand forming a seal, the Yamanaka clan's perception ninjutsu unfolded. Feel the huge chakra in the room as vast as the scorching sun, and the terrifying aura under the chakra that is difficult to conceal. He instantly determined the identity of the person in the room. Just this unique chakra. Who else could it be if not Nine Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Kushina, also known as the blood-red pepper? Bang! Click! There was a crash in the house. Uzumaki Kushina, who sensed the spying of the perception ninjutsu, opened the door and jumped onto the wall like a gust of wind without even putting on his shoes. His eyes instantly locked onto Yamanaka Kei, who was standing at the end of the street. Jane, I finally waited for you. The words were full of excitement and resentment, just like the heroine in a tragedy who finally met the hero after going through untold hardships. It made Yamanaka Kei shiver violently. I almost couldn't help but turn around and run away. Oh my god. Little Pepper actually speaks in this tone. Rustling sounds came from the houses on both sides of the street. Apparently, the tribesmen who were bored late at night heard the noise and were quietly preparing to eat the melon in secret. Yamanaka Kei covered his face with one hand and quickly performed the body flicker technique. He pulled Kushina directly into the house. As the door closed, the five-way anti-sensing barrier in the room was instantly activated. He was sure that if he moved even a little slower, the clan would spread the news tomorrow about what he and the Uzumaki orphan had to say. Hey, Kushina staggered into the house. Watching Yamanaka Kei open the barrier with extremely smooth movements. In just 3 words, the tone of voice changed from confusion to doubt, and then from doubt to surprise. He subconsciously put his hands in front of his chest, looking frightened. There was a hint of excitement and anticipation in his eyes. G. When Yamanaka Kei saw this action, a mouthful of blood got stuck in his throat, unable to go up or down. Chapter 8. How about giving Danzo a blow? Hey, what's with that disgusted and disdainful expression of yours? Kushina, who was drunk, put down her arms in front of her chest in dissatisfaction. Even though she is usually carefree, she is still a beautiful girl with a good figure and good looks, okay? Is it really appropriate to show such an expression? How much did you drink? Yamanaka Kei simply skipped over Kushina's question. Looking at the messy living room, I felt as speechless as I could be. The coffee table, which was originally empty, clean and tidy, was now filled with instant ramen buckets with only some soup left and scattered wine bottles. The sofa and the floor were littered with open magazines and randomly placed ninjutsu scrolls. A few cute puppet dolls that he usually used to practice ninjutsu were also beaten up and thrown aside. Well, just a little bit. Kushina also noticed the dirty and messy living room at this time. The originally hazy drunkenness was almost completely sobered up. He shrank his neck and stood where he was, cautiously peeking at Yamanaka Kei's expression. She muttered to herself, she didn't do anything today. Why was the living room so messy? No matter what worries you in the future, drink less alcohol. This stuff is not good for your health. Yamanaka Kei saw Kushina's uneasy expression, and the words on the tip of his tongue eventually turned into concern. Having known each other for many years, he knew Kushina's character better than anyone else. This girl usually doesn't drink, but she drank so much today. It was probably because of the conflict with Danzo in the morning and something else that happened in the afternoon that she couldn't accept. Make the way seal with one hand. Yamanaka Kei performed the mind-transforming clone technique and the mind-transforming puppet technique, which is the advanced mind-transforming puppet clone technique. 5 humanoid puppets, each more than a foot tall, stood up from the ground together and hurriedly cleaned up the messy living room. The originally dirty and messy coffee table was quickly cleaned up. The magazines and scrolls that were scattered around were also sorted and put back to their original places. Kushina, barefoot, trotted along, following the puppet to clean up. Her attentive look makes people who don't know her think she is really hardworking. Okay, tell me, what do you want me to do? Yamanaka Kei looked at Kushina, who was trying to please him with a sweet smile on her face, and he really didn't know what to do with her. Jingjun, can you lend me 8 million taels? Kushina's tone and demeanor were extremely well behaved and shy, not a bit of the blood-red chili she was during the day. No, you just collected the rent in July, and it's been less than 3 months. Have you spent it all? Yamanaka Kei looked incredulous when he heard about borrowing money. When Uzumaki Mito passed away, he left Kushina a very rich inheritance. The rent collected from the dozen or so shops on Konoha's commercial street alone could guarantee her a life of luxury for a long time. How on earth did this girl end up in a situation where she needed to borrow money? I lent it to Tsunade-san. D. You're so brave. I can't help it. Sister Tsunade cried and said she had no food to eat, no clothes to wear, and she was about to die. Do you believe what she says? Oh my, Jin-kun, Shimura Danzo, that bad guy is simply not a human being. He said that the damage to the Genin standby station had nothing to do with him and asked me to bear all the reconstruction costs alone. The third generation also sided with him. Kushina, in a crying tone, skipped the matter of lending money to Tsunade and began to accuse the culprit Shimura Danzo. As a result, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen also received a lot of criticism. The tone of her voice was as if the collapse of Genin Standby Center today had nothing to do with her. Okay, it's only 8 million, right? It would be better if there was a little more so I could keep it for dinner. You, after collecting rent, remember to save some money for emergencies and plan your daily expenses. Also, when you meet someone who asks you to borrow money, make sure you first judge whether the other party is borrowing money for serious matters. Yamanaka Kei stood up from the sofa with a helpless look on his face. As he spoke, he took out 2 deposit slips from the Fire Country Bank from the secret compartment in the study. Kushina knelt obediently in front of the coffee table. Maybe it was the alcohol. Listening to the nagging in my ears, I couldn't help but think of Grandma Uzumaki Mito. He took over 2 deposit certificates with a deposit of 5 million each in a daze. Seeing her dazed look, Yamanaka Kei raised his hand and waved it in front of her eyes, then reminded her again. Save the extra 2 million for good food and some nice clothes. If you encounter a situation like today again, don't take it out on yourself. As the old saying goes, it's better to torture others than to embarrass yourself. Yamanaka Kei had just finished talking for a few words when he saw tears as big as beans in Kushina's eyes falling down her cheeks. He was not very good at dealing with such things, so he quickly took a tissue from the tissue box and handed it over. Looking at Kushina, who was crying with tears in her eyes, Yamanaka Kei sighed and racked his brains to think of a way to comfort the other person. If you're really angry, how about we sneak up on Danzo and hit him with a club? I'm quite familiar with the Roots fighting style. If it's not convenient for you to come out, I can secretly help you deal with him. Wow 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 wow, I miss Grandma Mito. Uzumaki Kushina, who was originally just crying silently, couldn't hold back her tears anymore after being comforted by Yamanaka Kei. The grievances in my heart and the longing for my loved ones burst out all at once. He raised his little face and cried loudly. His snot mixed with tears and he cried until his face turned into a clown. She hasn't heard these words of care for a long time since Grandma Mito left. Because of the identity of Nine Tails Jinchuriki, she couldn't leave the village freely to carry out missions, nor could she live freely like a normal ninja. Every day I had to endure the almost ubiquitous looks of disgust and fear. Even some high-ranking officials in the village, led by Shimura Danzo, would target her from time to time. The third generation would always just comfort her with a few words afterwards. What they always said most was to ask her to mature more, and that they were also doing it for the village. But it is clear that they are the ones who have always been causing trouble. If it is really for the sake of the village, why don't they restrain themselves a little? I'll go with you to the Senju old house? Yamanaka Kei asked tentatively. Kushina shook her head and asked while wiping away her tears. Kage, did you use any ninjutsu against Danzo today? Ah, no, why do you say that? Yamanaka Kei was slightly shocked but didn't show it on his face and started to act dumb skillfully. Humph. Liar. You can deceive others, but not me. I sensed it. When Danzo left, you had a flash of malice in you. Kushina's face was covered with tears and snot, but her eyes were curved into crescents in a smile. Wipe it off quickly, you are crying and laughing at the same time, it's so ugly. Yamanaka Kei's eyes twitched slightly, but he finally stopped denying it. He pulled out a tissue and smeared it directly on Kushina's face. Hee hee, Jane, it's nice to meet you. V Chapter 9. Isn't this just a death sentence? Kushina's guess was confirmed. Knowing that it was Yamanaka Kei who vented her anger, she took a long while to stop crying. He sat down in a corner of the sofa with his knees hugged, feeling satisfied. Maybe it's because you drank too much, or because your emotions are going through a lot and your body is too tired. Kushina calmed down and soon felt drowsy. I'll go get you some hot bath water, and you can sleep in the guest room later. Yamanaka Kei saw Kushina nodding slightly with her eyes closed, then stood up and walked towards the bathroom. It took him time to heat up the bath water, and when he returned to the living room, Kushina was already curled up in a small ball on the sofa and asleep. Looking at the little girl, whose brows were still slightly furrowed and whose eyelashes were full of tears even when she was asleep, Yamanaka Kei sighed slightly, carried her into the guest room, covered her with a blanket, and then turned around to wash up. Half lying in the bathtub, I recalled everything that happened at the Genin standby station this morning. Yamanaka Kei felt a little relieved after confirming that nothing was wrong. In the original work, it is clearly stated that the only people who can sense malicious intent are Uzumaki Mito and Uzumaki Naruto, who are Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Otherwise, during the Fourth Shinobi World War, White Zetsu's transformation technique would not have left the entire Shinobi alliance helpless. Kushina obviously doesn't have the ability to treat Nine Tails like a pet fox and flatten around it at will like Uzumaki Mito does. Nor did he reconcile with the Nine Tails and become a perfect Jinchuriki like Uzumaki Naruto did. She could vaguely sense the malicious intent, purely because she had snatched a large amount of chakra from Nine Tails after forcibly subduing them with adamantine sealing chains. In addition, although she herself has not awakened Kagura's mind's eye, her perception ability is extremely sharp. When facing Shimura Danzo, the chakra in his whole body was running at high speed again. The collision of many coincidences led to the extremely accidental glimpse of a fleeting strong malice at the moment when Yamanaka Kei attacked Danzo. You should be more cautious in the future. Yamanaka Kei reflected on himself. Although as far as he knew, there was no other way for the ninja world to sense malicious intent, but who knew what other strange methods might be used? Just like the original book never said that Kushina could sense malice. Plot is often not everything, be careful, you won't go wrong. Took a comfortable bath. Yamanaka Kei dug out some plot notes that he had written down in various codes, pinyin and doodles at the beginning of his time travel. Comparing the many memory details recalled in the memory palace due to the fusion of the two entries. Resort the information that is useful to you bit by bit. It was not until the moon was at its highest point in the sky that he felt tired and went to bed with his clothes on. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse, and there was no conversation all night. The next morning, when Yamanaka Kei woke up, Kushina had already quietly left. Looking at the neatly folded bedding, he picked up the note under the teacup. I'm not sloppy at all. Oh, oh. Also, Jingjun, you have become much braver. You even dared to hug me secretly. Heart. Small smile, big heart. Let Yamanaka Kei gain a good mood today. As Kushina said, he is indeed a lot bolder now than before the system was activated. In the past, he would never let Nine Tails Jinchuriki stay overnight. He would never say anything about hitting Shimura Danzo with a club. In his 19 years of living in Konoha, he knew how to avoid attracting the attention of those conspirators. If he had been braver, he must have been taken away by Shimura Danzo to be warned a long time ago. Yamanaka Kei curled his lips. He was very clear about his identity and what Kushina meant to Konoha. If he hadn't deliberately maintained a distance between the two of them. Danzo had already talked to him, but now, he wants to have a sweet love affair with the sweet and soft red-haired girl. If those three old guys Shimura Danzo, Utatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura dared to cause trouble. It just so happened that in his previous life he was very interested in the so-called Ozaki Hachijo. In this life, he also learned the mind-turning technique, a secret technique that can control other people's bodies. Go to Hell Valley in the country of bears to experience wingsuit flying, go snowboarding on the top of a snowy mountain in the country of snow, and surf the tsunami in the country of the sea. If you think these places are too far away, the ropeless bungee jumping on Hokage Rock is also a good choice. Anyway, it's not him who will die, so why not just make him die? Why I kind of expect them to cause trouble sooner rather than later. Yamanaka Kei grinned and went out to the mission release office in a happy mood. I casually ate 2 skewers of meatballs and 2 rice balls in the commercial street to satisfy my stomach, which had started to rebel early. He wondered whether he should ask his clan to open a few breakfast shops in Konoha. While increasing the income for the elderly and weak in the tribe, it also brings a little culinary shock to the villagers of Konoha. I dare not say anything else. Things like soy milk, fried dough sticks, tofu pudding, steamed buns, sesame cakes, and mutton soup. Relying on the fusion of entries, he could still replicate most of the memories stored in the memory palace. All the way to the mission release office. After completing yesterday's mission, he handed over the signed letter from the client to the Jonin Nara Shikaku on duty. Received reward for yesterday's mission. Yamanaka Kei was about to see if there were any suitable low-level tasks. Nara Shikaku greeted him and called him to a small office on the side of the mission hall. Kei, are you getting used to being the team leader, Jonin? Am I not used to being able to go back? That can't be done. I'm just saying hello casually. Just pretend you didn't hear it. If you have something to say, just say it. Yamanaka Kei and Nara Shikaku rolled their eyes. The Ino Shika Cho clans were originally as close as a family. They are only 1 year apart in age, and grew up together wearing open-crotch pants, so they know each other's personalities very well. Beating around the bush and being polite is really not suitable for them. The 3 subordinates you brought with you were carefully selected by the Hokage-sama. Especially Kurenai Yuhi. It would be best to accept her as your disciple and teach her well. Nara Shikaku carefully considered his words and gave a warning. The sunset is crimson. Well, the situation in the ninja world is not very stable right now. As supporters of the Hokage, our Ino Shikacho clans. I understand. I will teach them seriously. Yamanaka Kei waved his hand with a bored look on his face. When he saw the team composition before, he actually guessed the purpose of 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Both Might Guy and Genma Shiranui have very clean family backgrounds, and they are both the kind of people who are willing to give for their teammates. The strengths of each person complement each other, and no one will feel uncomfortable getting along with each other. As the leader of the Genin, he naturally belongs to the Hokage line because of his identity as a member of the Yamanaka clan. He is also good at illusion and family yin-tun secret techniques, making him the most suitable person to teach Yuhi Kurenai. It is obvious that Sarutobi Hiruzen wants to use Yuhi Kurenai to trap Yuhi Shinku, quickly win the hearts of the grassroots ninjas, and prepare for a turbulent situation in the ninja world. As for Ebisu, who was transferred to the logistics teaching department, it's just a chess piece that is moved around at will in the name of leveraging one's special strengths. Although Yamanaka Kei does not like such operations, since he has enjoyed the benefits brought by the Yamanaka clan, there are always some things that he cannot avoid. All he could do was try to teach his 3 children equally. Chapter 10. This teacher is so bad. Nara Shikaku had no doubts about Yamanaka Kei's political wisdom. After saying a few simple words, he took out a D-leveled task scroll that had been prepared long ago. Cleaning up the trash in the river swales, Yamanaka Kei looked at the task content on the scroll, thought about it and did not refuse. Compared with D-level tasks such as killing wild boars and driving away wild beasts, clearing the river is time-consuming and labor-intensive, and the corresponding rewards will be much higher. Now he still needs some time to organize the useful information in his mind, to maximize the advantage of knowing the plot well. This kind of task, where you can watch your subordinates work while you slack off, is perfect. Leave the mission posting place. Came to the meeting place agreed with the 3 little ones yesterday. After Yamanaka Kei distributed the rewards for yesterday's mission, the 3 people with happy faces went directly to the river depression downstream of the Minamiga River to continue their mission. Konoha's assigned mission acceptance mechanism is actually not friendly to ordinary ninjas. This can be seen from the fact that for a Genin to take the Chunin exam, in addition to needing a Jonin recommendation, they only need 8 mission experiences. For most Genins, the frequency of missions is actually very low. Part of the reason is, of course, that the number of commissions cannot fully support Konoha's huge ninja base. But the main reason is the imbalance in resource allocation. In order to strengthen his rule and authority, 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen firmly controls the right to review, distribute, and assign tasks. The reason is to let ninjas with different abilities take on tasks of corresponding levels, thereby increasing the success rate of tasks and reducing casualties. Those who are close to the Hokage will naturally receive high-quality missions, and the frequency of missions is extremely high. For those who don't get along with the Hokage, it's considered good if they don't get any missions. But being assigned several difficult and dangerous missions is really fatal. And there are some Genin who have been unable to be promoted to Chunin for many years and some marginal ninjas with low presence. There are often situations where I don't get a single task for a month and it becomes difficult to make a living. Like Yamanaka Kei, you can take on a task whenever you want, and you can choose the task independently to a certain extent. That is the treatment only the most loyal descendants of the Hokage can receive. Since Kurenai Yuhi had spent most of her ninja career working in the logistics team, She didn't have any major feelings about this. But Might Guy and Genma Shiranui have truly experienced the difficulty of having no missions to complete. So when Yuhi Kurenai was worried about the water surface that was full of garbage, Might Guy and Genma Shiranui have rolled up their sleeves and are ready for a big fight. Before the mission begins, I'll give you a little gift. Yamanaka Kei quickly formed seals with his hands, and then slapped out 3 times in succession, accurately hitting the abdomens of the 3 people. Sealing technique. Heavy sealing of limbs. A pitch-black curse seal shaped like an uzumaki quickly appeared on the abdomens of the 3 people, and several sealing chains extended to their limbs. An invisible pressure swept over the 3 people. Might Guy, who had the strongest physical fitness, stumbled and quickly supported his knees with both hands. As for Genma Shiranui and Kurenai Yuhi, they simply lay down on the ground. The heavy limb seal, as the name suggests, is a seal that can impose heavy pressure on the body. It requires physical strength and chakra to be used in sync to counter it. Once you have fully adapted to the seal, your physical strength, mental power, and chakra volume will improve significantly. So, come on, boys. Yamanaka Kei, with a wicked smile on his face, explained the purpose of the so-called small gift. A brand new way of carrying weights? The passion of youth has been ignited, oh my. Might Guy felt the gravity all over his body, but instead of feeling any distress, he looked extremely excited. Amidst the howling sounds of ghosts and wolves, he began to try punching and kicking repeatedly, adapting to the seal on his body. Genma Shiranui glanced at the already lively Might Guy, silently forced himself to get up from the ground, and slowly began to move his hands and feet. How can you give a gift like this? Yuhi Kurenai, who almost bit off a bite of fresh soil, was furiously complaining about the bad taste of her team leader Genin in her heart. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit. If she hadn't reacted quickly, she would have bitten into the rotten soil mixed with who knows how much garbage. Too bad, her beautiful girl image was almost ruined. The tools for clearing the river are in the cabin over there, so, let's start the mission. Warm reminder. Treading water in a sealed state requires higher chakra control. Yamanaka Kei watched the 3 people gradually adapt to the sealed state, and then directly announced the start of the mission. He used the body flicker technique, found a big tree upwind, and half lay on the trunk to continue sorting out the plot information. Due to the terrain, the river depressions in this area gather a large amount of domestic waste. Calculated based on the working speed of ordinary genin, it would take at least 4 to 5 days to completely clean up this area. In addition, the heavy seals on the 3 little ones' limbs seriously slowed down their work speed. It will take at least a week to clean it up. Plop, plop. Yamanaka Kei had just picked up the scroll and pen when the sound of 2 drops of water reached his ears. Looking at Might Guy and Genma Shiranui, who were climbing out of the sewage in a mess, he was in a good mood and began to focus on his own affairs. Konoha's root base. Wearing a full metal samurai helmet and a thick bandage on his forehead, Shimura Danzo sat in a steel cage, looking at his subordinates in front of him with a gloomy expression. From yesterday morning till now, his head has been attacked 3 times for no apparent reason. The broken beams in the Genin standby station, the falling ceiling in the root medical room, and the falling bricks in the office. If it weren't for his long experience in battle and quick reaction, I'm afraid that now one more name can be engraved on the memorial tablet. Danzo-sama, Orochimaru-sama wrote back saying that there is nothing wrong with your body, and if the accident you encountered is not due to probability, then it can only be some unknown secret technique. The root ninja carefully reported the results of Orochimaru's analysis. Shimura Danzo's already gloomy face showed several blue veins. He was extremely dissatisfied with Orochimaru's answer, which was equivalent to saying nothing. He was silent for a moment before continuing to ask. Have you investigated Jinchuriki's itinerary from yesterday to today? Please review it, Master Danzo. Another root ninja presented a compiled surveillance record. Danzo opened the scroll and looked at it for a while, then silently thought about how to proceed with the next plan. Yesterday he provoked Nine Tails Jinchuriki by asking for the Uzumaki clan's secret technique. The biggest purpose is to see the attitude of the ninja clans such as Ino Shika Cho, Kurama, Inuzuka, Aburame, Hyuga, etc. towards the root. Regardless of whether they saw through his purpose or not, the Inuzuka, Aburame, Hyuga and other families all behaved very tactfully. But Ino Shika Cho, Kurama, I stayed overnight and left the next day with a large amount of money. Why did I open an anti-sensing barrier? It's... Boom! Countless thoughts flashed through Danzo's mind. Just thought of half of it. A stone the size of a pigeon egg accurately avoided the cage and hit his steel helmet. The already painful head felt a piercing pain. Several root ninjas crouching in front of Danzo lowered their heads. And Danzo's little remaining patience was completely crushed by this stone. Investigate. List all the people who had contact with me yesterday. Investigate them one by one. You must find out who did this to me. Yes. Chapter 11 The Will of Fire is a lump. Yamanaka Kei was unaware of the chaos at the root and the rage of Shimura Danzo. After sorting out the information in my mind for a day. As the sun set, Yuhi Kurenai, Might Guy and Shiranui Genma were able to barely maintain their sealed state and move on water. He called the three of them and took them back to Konoha. He paid for the three people's dinner again, and after reminding them to bring lunch boxes the next day, he announced the disbandment. I watched the three little ones, already exhausted, dragging their heavy bodies back home. Yamanaka Kei formed a seal with one hand and quietly used the Yamanaka clan's secret perception technique to connect to the perception barrier that enveloped the entire Konoha. He praised in his heart that the ancestors of the Yamanaka clan had the foresight to leave a back door for the clan members when they set up the perception barrier for Konoha. By distinguishing the chakra aura, he quickly found the location of Uzumaki Kushina. Silently disconnect the connection with the perception barrier. Yamanaka Kei bought some sand dumplings, a specialty of the Land of the Wind, at a pastry shop in Konoha T Street, and then strolled towards the Genin waiting station. All the way to the original Genin waiting station. Yesterday's ruins, after being cleared of usable items and various materials, have been repaved and compacted with earth style. More than 20 workers and several genins were carrying various construction materials in an orderly manner under the command of the craftsman. Kushina, wearing a pure white safety helmet and holding a few construction drawings in his hands, stood in an open space nearby to supervise the work in a serious manner. Seeing Yamanaka Kei coming with snacks, she trotted over to meet him. Raising her dirty palms, she smiled like a little fox stealing fish, and opened her little mouth, signaling Yamanaka Kei to feed her. "Ah, what are you looking at with the blueprint?" Yamanaka Kei chuckled, picked up a sandball and stuffed it into Kushina's mouth. Kushina, who was fed, smiled so hard that her eyes narrowed. Chewing the soft, salty and fragrant sand dumpling in her mouth, she spread out the drawing in her hand with a proud look on her face. "Let me show you. I designed it. How is it? You designed it? Who drew it?" "I dictated and asked others to draw it. Hokage-sama agrees?" "I paid for it. Why does he disagree? That makes sense." Yamanaka Kei looks like an ice cream cone, with 9 walls that rise in a spiral and converge at one point. Try to understand how third-generation leader Sarutobi Hiruzen agreed to build it according to this design. The bright red color is basically the same as the color of the Hokage building. Apart from the somewhat unconventional appearance of the building, there is nothing wrong with it at first glance. If this thing loses some color, it will look like a pile of poop. Third generation maybe, or, possibly. Do you think this looks a bit like a flame, which represents the will of fire? What is the will of fire? You know what, it's true. Can you give me an evaluation? Kushina's sparkling eyes were full of anticipation. Faced with such an expression, Yamanaka Kei naturally would not say anything to spoil the mood. It has a good meaning. It should look like the symbol of the Uzumaki clan when viewed from above. The 9 spirals not only allude to your name, but also indicate the identity of 9 tails Jinchuriki. It's a very clever idea. However, 9 tails must be cursing in the sealed space. Carefully analyze Kushina's design intentions. Yamanaka Kei made some of these points while also making a little joke. The main focus is on maximizing the emotional value. Hee, Jane, it turns out you understand me the best. Kushina nodded repeatedly and unfolded the drawing to its maximum size facing the setting sun. She wants to leave her own mark in Konoha. No matter whether you are good or bad, disgusting or fearful in the eyes of others. She is who she is, Uzumaki Kushina, the second 9 tails Jinchuriki after Uzumaki Mito. Yamanaka Kei looked at Kushina, whose eyes were as bright as stars and whose smile reflected the sunset. She seemed to be glowing. I secretly decided to discuss with my colleagues in the logistics department and increase the building maintenance fee of the Genin standby station. Don't let it fade. Otherwise, he was afraid that Kushina would not be able to bear the shock after seeing it. Swish, the sound of body flicker technique breaking through the air was heard. A ninja wearing a mask and Enbu's standard combat uniform appeared less than 2 meters away from Yamanaka Kei. This distance, which was full of threats for a ninja, made him frown slightly. The Anbu are a special force directly commanded and led by the Hokage. They have been screened through various levels and their loyalty to the village and the Hokage is unquestionable. Because of this, the attitudes they express when carrying out their missions largely reflect the attitudes of the Hokage himself. In the past, no Anbu had ever shown such a threatening attitude towards him. Yamanaka Kei, the Hokage has ordered you to come to the Hokage's office immediately. There is an important mission for you to perform. Receive. Yamanaka Kei nodded in agreement and handed the bag of snacks to Kushina. Then I will go to Hokage-sama first. Well, be careful along the way. Kushina took the bag with a somewhat stiff expression. The relationship that I have been looking forward to for many years finally got some response. She was just about to plan and put into practice the little love tips she had asked Makoto for. As a result, that damn old man from 3rd generation comes out to mess things up again. That B*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Jinchuriki having a sweet love? Damn it, I'm going to complain to Sister Tsunade. Let Sister Tsunade smash up that old B******************** D from third generation's office. Don't worry. By the way, I'll ask you to take care of my 3 new disciples. Yamanaka Kei saw that Kushina was in a bad mood, so he decisively chose to push the 3 little ones out to help her relieve her boredom. On one side are the powerful Konoha Genin, who can relax by bullying the weak and teaching them. On one side are the Konoha Genins who are eager to improve their strength and don't mind enduring hardships. Perfect match. Say it's no problem. Kushina nodded vigorously, feeling very grateful for Yamanaka Kei's trust. Yamanaka Kei smiled and waved his hand, then turned and sprinted in the direction of the Hokage building. Anbu, who was in charge of the communication, waited until he started to move before following him. This behavior, which was almost like surveillance, almost confirmed the not-so-good guess in Yamanaka Kei's mind just now. As people get older, do they really become more sensitive? It shouldn't be the case. Didn't Kushina just stay at his house for one night? They still sleep separately. I haven't done anything yet. Why is the reaction so intense? That's not right. Last night, in order to prevent his tribesmen from using the perception ninjutsu 8 trigrams, he seemed to have been keeping an anti-perception barrier open? Depend on, the third generation wouldn't think that he and Kushina have developed to the point of swinging big mushrooms. Yamanaka Kei was stunned for a moment. After figuring out the whole thing, I didn't know whether to say that I was careless or continue to blame third generation for making a fuss out of nothing. Chapter 12. Who to fight? Yikang? Me? Shimura Danzo. The head was wrapped like a mummy, with only the eyes and mouth exposed. Wearing a samurai helmet in a hospital gown, his resentment was about to turn into something substantial. It should be Shimura Danzo, right? Yamanaka Kei had a look of surprise in his eyes and almost didn't dare to recognize him. He really didn't expect that in just one day, Danzo would be turned into such a mess because of the black entry. But when he saw the Anbu ninja who had been monitoring him all the way walked up and stood behind Danzo, he felt that the effect of this black entry was still a little lacking. Spicy B******************** D. Why didn't the beam at the Genin waiting post just crush the old thief to death? That B************* D just now was actually a Gen ninja. Shimura Danzo, this old thief is the same. He makes his subordinates wear the same clothes as Anbu. He kept saying, Hokage's orders. What? You also know that without Sarutobi Hiruzen, no one will pay attention to you. Jane, Elder Danzo just sent me a report that Sanagakure and Kirigakure have been having frequent conflicts in the southern part of the tea country recently. The number of casualties on both sides is still increasing. There is a tendency to expand the conflict. In order to get accurate information, I hope you can go there. Sarutobi Hiruzen, with a pipe between his lips, raised his hand and threw a scroll to Yamanaka Kei. Single-player mission. Yamanaka Kei glanced at Shimura Danzo who was sitting on the sofa, then lowered his head to read the information on the scroll. Sarutobi Hiruzen's words made it very clear. This intelligence scroll was brought by Shimura Danzo, and it was the other party who asked him to carry it out. As the Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen judged the authenticity and importance of the mission and felt that he, who was from the Yamanaka clan and had served in the analysis class, was indeed the most suitable candidate, so he called him over. Only, Yikang? Scorch-style ninja Yikang? Yamanaka Kei's eyes twitched slightly when he looked at the name on the intelligence scroll. Scorch-style Yekura is one of the young generation of signature powerhouses that has emerged in Sanagakure in the past 2 years. With his Scorch-style bloodline limit, he made many Kirigakure ninjas lose their temper and gained a great reputation. Not to mention Yamanaka Kei, who has read the original work. Any ninja who often goes out of the village on missions would know her name. This is a single-player mission. He needs to think more about whether the third generation has colluded with Danzo and is ready to attack him. After all, he has been consciously hiding his incompetence since he joined the analysis class. The combat power displayed is only slightly stronger than that of the civilian Genin who lacks basic skills. Facing Yi Kang, who is famous in the ninja world, head-on is basically like giving yourself up. The other party is quite famous. It's too dangerous for you to go alone. I found a partner for you. Just as Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, there was another knock on the office door. After getting the agreement, Namikaze Minato opened the door and walked in. After seeing Yamanaka Kei standing in the office, he couldn't help but smile from his serious face. Minato? He's such a reassuring teammate. Yamanaka Kei also had a smile on his face. The suspicion and distrust that he had felt towards Sarutobi Hiruzen had mostly dissipated. Namikaze Minato's strength is obvious to all. After mastering the Flying Thunder God technique of second Hokage Senju Tobirama, his mobility is among the best in the entire ninja world. Not to mention Yi Kang alone, even if they encounter a large-scale Sand Shinobi army. The two of them could also retreat calmly. Jing, it looks like we're going to fight side by side again. Namikaze Minato looked a bit nostalgic, obviously thinking about the time they carried out the mission together. The two grew up together, entered the ninja school together, and graduated together to become ninjas. Although they were not assigned to a team upon graduation, They had worked together on countless missions before Yamanaka Kei entered the analysis class and had already developed a tacit understanding. If you want to reminisce about the past, you can talk about it slowly after you set off. Minato, let Jin explain the details of the mission to you. Time is running out, so you should set off immediately after you are ready. Sarutobi Hiruzen urged the two. After the two received the order and left the Hokage's office, they turned to look at Shimura Danzo, who had been sitting on the sofa in silence. I've said it before. I watched Jin grow up. He's always been very sensible. It's impossible that he was the one who attacked you in secret. Even if it wasn't him, his contact with Nine Tails Jinchuriki was too close. The power of Nine Tails should not be influenced and controlled by the ninja clan. Shimura Danzo lightly pressed the chakra sensing seal on his palm with his fingertips, and his already sinister eyes became even more fierce. The curse seal on his palm is the forbidden technique developed by second Hokage Senju Tobirama. Its sensitivity even exceeds that of today's most advanced medical equipment. The curse seal just now had no effect on Yamanaka Kei, proving that there is no chakra residue related to Yamanaka Kei in his body. Although he eliminated one suspect directly, further narrowing the scope of his suspicion, he really hoped that Yamanaka Kei was the one who murdered him. Take Yamanaka Kei's relationship with the Ino Shika Cho clan leaders, and his ambiguous attitude with Nine Tails Jinchuriki. This person is of great use to Gen. Sarutobi Hiruzen was not a worm in Shimura Danzo's stomach, he just thought he was really concerned about Nine Tails Jinchuriki's problem. After pondering for a moment, he weighed the pros and cons. The possible impact of Kushina marrying into the Yamanaka clan was also evaluated. He spoke again to comfort his old friend. Danzo, feelings are something you can't force, just like you and Kaharu. Ahem, I mean, Kushina will eventually get married and have children, and Konoha will also need the next Jinchuriki in a few decades. HMPH. If a female Jinchuriki gives birth, the seal's strength will drop significantly, which will be too dangerous for the village. Although the Whirlpool country has been destroyed, there are still many Uzumaki bloodlines in the ninja world. Kushina is a ninja of Konoha, not a ninja of the root. Moreover, the problem of Jinchuriki was made very clear by Lord Mito at the beginning. You should be well aware of the consequences if a Jinchuriki develops psychological problems. HMPH. That's you. Hiss, Shimura Danzo snorted again, and was about to retort something in agitated mood, but he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. Calm yourself down a bit, and we can talk slowly if you have anything to say. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo, who snorted twice and almost sent him away, and his blood pressure, which was about to soar, quickly dropped. He secretly felt lucky that he was not the one being ambushed. Not to mention the 6 head attacks a day. Just these 2 quarrels make my head hurt so much that I can't stand it. Who can stand it? Call the next person. Danzo held the helmet on his head with one hand and took deep breaths to ease the severe pain in his head. His hatred towards the person who plotted against him reached its peak at this moment. He didn't even have time to think about the Jinchuriki issue, he just wanted to find out who did this to him as soon as possible. But just as he finished speaking, a slight sound of wooden boards cracking came from somewhere. Danzo, who had encountered various accidents one after another, was already like a frightened bird. He jumped up from the sofa the moment the sound was heard, and rushed out of the Hokage's office through the open window with a body flicker technique. Gah! Ah! Screams filled with pain and anger came from outside the window. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo, who was crying and holding his head, and the crow that was hit to death, and for a moment he didn't know who to sympathize with. Chapter 13. Jane. I heard that you are getting married? After Shimura Danzo was rushed for treatment, peace returned to the Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood by the office window, looking at the sunset in the sky, and refilled his burnt pipe with new tobacco. Smoke began to rise, making it difficult to see his expression clearly. Danzo's words just now did remind him. The Whirlpool Kingdom has been destroyed. Konoha also lost its most stable source of Jinchuriki. If anything happens to Uzumaki Kushina, it will be difficult to find a suitable Jinchuriki quickly. The instructions of Uzumaki Mito-sama are still ringing in my ears. Overly suppressing Jinchuriki's emotional needs will only cause Jinchuriki's instability, which will definitely do more harm than good. Childbirth for female Jinchuriki is indeed a difficult hurdle. The inheritance method of mother-to-son inheritance is prone to some unpredictable situations. If Konoha had a few more Uzumaki who were grandmasters of the sealing technique to assist during the birth of the Jinchuriki, it would not only guarantee the stability of the seal to the greatest extent possible, but also ensure that Nine Tails would not have any problems. If something unexpected really happened, Konoha would not be unable to find the next Jinchuriki. Besides, war. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed deeply. Nowadays, the friction between the various ninja villages is becoming more and more intense, and perhaps war will break out soon. The Land of Fire, with its richest resources, most fertile land, and most prosperous economy, has always been the main target of attack by ninja villages from various countries. Today's Konoha has not yet completely emerged from the shadow of the Second Ninja World War. If the moment really comes to an end, the power of Jinchuriki may become indispensable. It would take a normal ninja team about 2 days to travel from Konoha to the southern coastline of the Land of Fire. It will take about 2 more days to reach the mission destination by sea from the southern coastline. Because the mission intelligence this time is very time-sensitive. So Namikaze Minato, who was full of sense of responsibility, unconsciously sped up as soon as he stepped out of the Konoha gate. Even Yamanaka Kei knew the current situation of Sanagakure. There was no way that the search for the missing third case cage could be stopped. But he couldn't explain this to Namikaze Minato. So I could only follow along helplessly and hurry on my way. Both of them are real Konoha Jonin. While maintaining enough physical strength to deal with sudden battles, skip the rest time at night and rush on the road. When you are thirsty, drink some water. When you are hungry, eat some food pills. At around 9 o'clock the next evening, they arrived at the southern port of the Fire Country. Board a small sailboat at the port that is used exclusively by Konoha shinobi. After confirming that the captain Yamato and his 2 sailors were fine, Yamanaka Kei set up various warnings and traps inside and outside the room. Namikaze Minato summoned 2 small toads from Mount Myoboku, one inside and one outside to keep watch. The 2 people, who were already quite exhausted, finally fell asleep peacefully and quickly recovered. The not-so-strong wind and waves did not cause the ship to rise and fall too violently. The slight shaking not only does not make people feel uncomfortable, but also has a certain effect of helping them sleep. Yamanaka Kei slept until noon and woke up to the noisy cries of seabirds. Just took care of my personal hygiene. Namikaze Minato, who has the temperament of a good wife and mother, brought 2 extra large bowls of seafood rice porridge. The seafood that had just been caught was processed very cleanly, without any fishy smell, but instead with a light sweetness. The rice soaked in soup leaves a lingering fragrance in your mouth. Such delicious meals naturally received high recognition from Yamanaka Kei. The little son felt a little embarrassed by the praise, and smiled shyly, her virtuous wife temperament becoming even stronger. After eating and drinking their fill, the 2 of them casually sat cross-legged on the deck of the sailboat. It was a rare opportunity to enjoy the leisure time during the mission. "Jing, I heard that you and Kushina are planning to get married?" Namikaze Minato put one hand over his eyes and looked out at the boundless sea. The sudden words left Yamanaka Kei with a lot of questions in his head. I really can't understand where these rumors came from. He hasn't even started dating yet, so how come others say he's preparing to get married? Where did you hear this? Ah, Yesterday morning at the temporary Genin standby station, Brother Choza said that Kushina had insufficient savings, so she used the 10 million wedding gift you gave her to compensate the Genin standby station. Isn't that right? How did Ding Zuo know that I gave Kushina 10 million? Ahem. Nara Suzaku Senpai, who is in charge of Genin standby affairs, said that your name is on the deposit slip. That doesn't prove it's a wedding gift. Brother Hai said that you two have been living together and stay together at night. Is it appropriate for you to do 8 trigrams all day long? Yamanaka Kei suddenly felt that there was nothing wrong with him being targeted by Danzo. Look at what has been spread within Konoha. Also, why does he feel that all the Genin in Konoha are damn bad? Doing nothing every day but eating melons. Others are fine. But that B****************************** D Yamanaka Kei actually brought him and Kushina out for 8 trigrams? Is this the content of 8 trigrams? Are you really not afraid of suspicion from higher ups at all? Etc. Yamanaka Kei thought of Nara Shikaku, the guy with an extremely high IQ, and reacted instantly. I'm afraid that guy had already guessed the thoughts of the Konoha high-level officials, which is why he let the members of the Ino Shikacho tribes deliberately spread these 8 trigrams. This is also a disguised way of telling Sarutobi Hiruzen that they have no other thoughts. Those guys were silently clearing the obstacles between him and Kushina. What a bunch of guys who love to worry about others. Ahahaha, because we don't have anything to do in the Genin standby station, so we just chat casually. Namikaze Minato laughed dryly and scratched his head a little embarrassedly. Have you really never felt Kushina's iron fist? Yamanaka Kei sighed helplessly. Although there is absolutely nothing wrong with the starting point of Yamanaka Kei and others, what if Kushina knew about this? She seems carefree and doesn't care about anything, but in fact she is very thin-skinned. Being teased like this. Well, I hope Hai and the others won't be beaten too badly. I really don't have that. Namikaze Minato smiled brightly when talking about this topic. He also has a good relationship with Kushina. Although there was a period of time when the girl listened to Yamanaka Kei's tricks and kept calling him Konoha's little boy girl, which bothered him a lot. But perhaps because of his kind personality, Kushina never raised her fist against him. Instead it was Yamanaka Kei. Because I have to tease Kushina from time to time, I am always chased and beaten. Is there a possibility, that Kushina felt that if she punched you, you would cry for a long time, and she might come back to comfort you, so she didn't hit you? Chapter 14. Tactic 2. Crow Flying Thunder God. After looking at the scenery of the sea for a long time, people always feel boring. Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato, except for the first day when I spent most of the day watching overseas with great interest. The rest of the time, they either talked about their new disciples or exchanged their experiences in ninjutsu. Occasionally, he would practice some moves and study strategies against the enemy. Minato is indeed an absolute genius. There are many entries on it. Even Yamanaka Kei, who has a system, was envious when he saw it. Insight into time and space, purple, super speed reaction, purple, seal control, blue, wisdom and ingenuity, blue, strong luck, blue, energy storage, blue, wind style grandmaster, green, handsomeness, green. A total of 8 entries. Even 6 of them are talent type entries. He has a deep understanding of time and space, can clearly sense the fluctuations of time and space, and perfectly match various time and space ninjutsu. Super speed reaction enhances many attributes such as nerve reaction speed, body reaction speed, hand seal speed, chakra operation speed, and ninjutsu release speed. Wisdom and ingenuity enhance learning ability, tactical thinking, and the ability to develop and research ninjutsu. Strong luck directly increases chi luck, and stored energy increases chakra amount and recovery ability. The only thing that makes him slightly inferior to Yamanaka Kei is his handsomeness. That's it. If Minato doesn't become the fourth Hokage, who the hell will be? Yamanaka Kei couldn't help but feel envious every time he looked at Minato's entry. Not to mention anything else, just the insight into time and space was something that made him extremely precious. Which time traveler doesn't want to learn the Flying Thunder God technique? It's just a pity. Traveling to the Hokage world did not give him any superior gifts in time and space. His talent in time and space was only enough to barely use the summoning technique and storage seals, and he couldn't even begin to learn the Flying Thunder God technique. If it weren't for the hope of the system, he probably had completely given up the idea of learning the Flying Thunder God technique. 2.5 days passed by in a flash as Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato continued to discuss and exchange ideas. The weather at sea has been relatively stable these days. They arrived at the port town in the south of the Tea Kingdom half a day earlier than expected. It was noon. After the ship docked, the two men took off the Konoha forehead protector for the sake of caution, and used the transformation technique to disguise themselves as ordinary carpenters. I was about to enter the town to gather information from some crowded places. 4 ninjas wearing mist shinobi forehead protectors walked out of the town. The leader had waist-length orange hair that was meticulously groomed. He was about 2 meters and 5 centimeters tall and very sturdy. Plus the big knife Samahata behind him. Who else could it be if not Mist Shinobi, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Ziguishan Pufferfish Demon. Although the identities of the 3 people behind him, Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato, were not recognized, judging from their attire, they were most likely the elite among Mist Shinobi Anbu, or at least Genin. Facing the Mist Shinobi ninja coming towards you, the 2 of them tacitly pretended to be timid and retreated to the side of the road in panic. They looked no different from normal civilians. The 4 members of Mist Shinobi did not notice anything unusual and walked right past the 2. Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato saw Mist Shinobi and his group disappear in front of the town gate with a few leaps, so they did not rush to follow them, but went straight into the town. Under the influence of the governing philosophy of Second Mizukage Hazuka, Mist Shinobi began to advocate covert actions very early on. Even when the Third Mizukage came to power, this philosophy remained unchanged. When Mist Shinobi's ninjas are on the move, it is impossible for them to pass through the town so openly. This behavior is problematic no matter how you look at it. Sure enough, Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato had just entered the town's gate. More than a dozen civilians, of both male and female, old and young, walked out from the streets and alleys one after another. The leader, a white-haired old woman who looked to be over 70 years old, said a few words to her subordinates and then waved her hand. These dozen people rushed to the north and south sides as quickly as arrows. It looked like they were preparing to outflank the Mist Shinobi from both sides. The old woman herself also chased after Mist Shinobi alone in the direction he left. Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato saw this and could easily guess that it was a game between Mist Shinobi and Sand Shinobi. It is not known whether either party has any backup plans. The 2 men disguised as carpenters pretended to be scared and quickly entered the town. After many twists and turns, I found a remote alley that no one paid attention to. Yamanaka Kei formed seals with both hands and activated the Yamanaka clan's secret perception ninjutsu to the maximum. The chakra reaction within a radius of nearly 10 kilometers was instantly transmitted to his mind. There are quite a lot of people, Yamanaka Kei muttered, the seals in his hands changing. He used the mind-to-body technique again and transmitted what he perceived to Namikaze Minato. The recent frequent conflicts have apparently made both Sand Shinobi and Mist Shinobi angry. Lin Ling's total of more than 30 chakra reactions were not at all on the scale of normal border friction. As for Mist Shinobi, the 4 people they just saw, led by Ziguishan Pufferdemon, were obviously just responsible for luring the enemy. In the forest a few kilometers away, There were 16 people hiding in ambush. On the Sand Shinobi side, one person rushed straight into the encirclement, while 12 people surrounded it from the north and south sides, apparently preparing for a counter-encirclement. And inside the town, there seemed to be 4 chakra reactions. I don't know whether they are spies left by Sand Shinobi or backup plans left by Mist Shinobi. A conflict of this magnitude. Namikaze Minato frowned as he looked at the perception shared by Yamanaka Kei. The gunfight between nearly 40 people on both sides was no longer a simple hatred conflict between ninjas. Personnel transfers of this scale must be approved by the top leaders of each ninja village. Once the top leaders leave, it often means that the conflict between the 2 ninja villages has reached an irreconcilable point. There's no point in you worrying, just do our job. Yamanaka Kei didn't care too much about the conflict between Sand Shinobi and Mist Shinobi. He had known for a long time that war was bound to break out, and now he was only concerned about how the task should be completed and whether or not to mix in some private goods. Take the opportunity to interfere with the progress of the Third Ninja World War. Well, let's use Tactic 2 and wait for the opportunity to enter the battlefield. Namikaze Minato nodded, temporarily suppressing his worries about the war, and began to focus seriously on the current task. When the 2 were on the boat, they designed several tactics based on the characteristics of each other's ninjutsu. In the current situation, the second set of tactics, which can enter the battlefield at any time and evacuate quickly at any time, is undoubtedly the most appropriate. Good. Yamanaka Kei took out a small tube engraved with many sealing spells from his inner pocket. He opened the bottle cap, dipped a little of the blood sealed inside, and then formed seals with his hands to use the summoning technique. Unlike those cruel people in the ninja world who would bite their fingers or stab their palms with kunai at any time. Even though he had traveled through time for more than 10 years, he still couldn't be as cruel as those people and attack him without blinking an eye.
Bang! Ga ga! Chakra smoke rose, and 3 black crows flapped their wings and appeared in front of the 2.
Mind-to-body clone technique. Yamanaka Kei changed the hand seals in his hands, leaving enough energy to control his body, while his mind controlled the 3 crows at the same time. The 3 crows that were originally noisy and jumping around immediately stood still. Namikaze Minato took a step forward, closed his eyes and thought for a moment, then gently pressed his right hand on the crow's abdomen and engraved the Flying Thunder God spell. Although he has not yet reached the level of the original work where he engraved the Flying Thunder God technique at the moment of the battle with Obito. But in the presence of the techniques, he had already trained his speed of spatial transfer between techniques to the ultimate level. After the Flying Thunder God spell was engraved on the 3 crows, they flapped their wings and flew into the sky under the control of Yamanaka Kei, flying straight towards the place where Mist Shinobi was ambushing. Before he could see the situation on the battlefield through the crow's eyes. The moment the old woman came into contact with the Mist Shinobi encirclement, Mist Shinobi's side had already suffered casualties. Chapter 15 Samahata vs. Scorch Style. In the dense forest less than 5 kilometers away from the town, Yi Kang, who had released the transformation technique, held a kunai in each hand. He bent his knees and squatted, staring at the dozen or so Mist Shinobi ninjas in front of him with murderous intent. 2 scorch-style over-steaming fireballs were suspended beside her. The scorching heat made the water-style Mist Shinobi technique performed by the Mist Shinobi ninja lose most of its effect. At her feet, a Mist Shinobi Genin lay like a dried corpse, completely devoid of life. Without any greetings or harsh words, Ziguishan Puffer Demon, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, grinned grimly and made a gesture to his companions behind him. Although not all the Sand Shinobi were attracted as planned. Even those Sand Shinobi are most likely hiding in the dark, ready to attack them in return. But as Yi Kang is the backbone of the Sand Shinobi team, as long as she is quickly captured, the rest of the Sand Shinobi will be nothing but a pile of loose sand. Water-style joint effort big water explosion. 15 mist shinobi ninjas, under the command of Ziguishan pufferfish, used the great explosion water break at the same time. A huge stream of water gushed out of their mouths. When the same ninjutsu is performed at the same time, similar chakra properties merge and converge with each other, forming a huge wave that is enough to submerge everything around. Yi Kang's eyes flashed slightly, and he leapt and galloped, quickly dodging the waves that were coming from all directions and constantly colliding. Before she could pull the battlefield apart, she broke the encirclement of mist shinobi in front of her. The 3 mist shinobi Genin who were following behind the Ziguishan puffer demon had already completed their hand seals. Summoning technique. Black-eyed crab. Summoning technique, great swordfish. Summoning technique, man-eating shark. Chakra smoke enveloped the surroundings. The 3 huge figures looming in the smoke made Yi Kang feel more pressured. Before the smoke cleared, the 3 Genin and the summoning mon launched water style. The water balls with a diameter of over 2 meters and containing a large amount of chakra were like cannonballs, bombarding the surrounded Yi Kang continuously. The 15 mist shinobi ninjas who had previously used the joint water style did not stop either. 8 people stood in 8 directions, forming seals with their hands, maintaining the output of chakra, and preventing the water style under their feet from spreading and disappearing. The remaining 7 people dived directly into the water and rushed towards Yi Kang from underwater. The overwhelming water-style attacks quickly annihilated the scorch-style fireball that was spinning beside Yi Kang. The 7 mist shinobi ninjas that were sneaking out of the water also jumped out of the water one after another to launch attacks. Guhahaha, Yakura, where can you run this time? The watermelon mountain puffer demon pulled out the big sword Samahata from behind. Looking at Yi Kang, who had sustained several wounds on his body in a short period of time, he was unable to launch an effective counterattack and could only dodge awkwardly. His heart was filled with the joy of revenge. With a move of his feet, the watermelon mountain puffer ghost, holding Samahata, stepped on the waves and rushed straight towards Yeking. Scorch style. Scorch style. Yi Kang saw the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost approaching rapidly. After barely kicking away 2 mist shinobi ninjas who attacked from underwater, he formed seals with his hands and slapped the water surface beneath his feet. The scorching heat began to spread from her palms. The water was rushing under my feet, and it was as hot as boiling water in the blink of an eye. Several mist shinobi ninjas who attacked underwater hurriedly distanced themselves, trying to avoid the rapidly rolling and boiling water. But there were still 2 people who were a little slow and were covered in boiling water. When he struggled to get out of the water, his body was covered with blisters and he couldn't stop howling. Even among the 3 huge summoning beasts, one was unable to dodge in time and disappeared into smoke. The remaining 2 were also forced back a distance. How much chakra do you have left to launch this massive scorch style? The smile on the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost's face became more and more ferocious. It jumped up and stepped across the boiling water. The big sword Samahata in his hand chopped directly into the face of Yi Kang, who was performing ninjutsu. Scorch-style oversteaming kills. Yi Kang changed her hand seals and quickly used the scorch style she was most familiar with. With both palms, Scorch Style's fireball collided with Samahata. Hia, the big knife Samahata let out a painful scream, and its gray-blue body surface turned slightly red. The blade kept twisting, and the spikes on it stood up. Baby, you're going to taste the most delicious chakras soon. The Ziguishan puffer ghost comforted Samahata and continued to chop with the sword in his hand, ignoring the fact that his arms were already burned. Dang! 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 With a powerful chop, the kunai in Yi Kang's hand was chopped away in just a few strokes. Her hands and arms were scratched and pierced by the spikes due to the close collision with Samahata, and were covered in blood. A lot of chakra in the body was sucked away. Faced with the fierce attack of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon and the entanglement of several mist shinobi, Yi Kang knew that he could not fight head-on. Secretly praying that teammates can arrive quickly. "Ah, it's Sand Shinobi's wind style. Get out of the way." As the Ziguishan Pufferfish Demon continued to exert pressure, the Mist Shinobi ninjas' screams were heard. The 8 Mist Shinobi ninjas who were originally guarding against Shisui's escape were attacked by wind style almost at the same time. As they were well prepared, only one person was beheaded directly. Although 2 of the remaining 7 people suffered minor skin injuries, they also avoided the Sand Shinobi's sudden attack. However, the water style, which had been restricted in the combat area and had not spread out, quickly dispersed to the surroundings because it lost the control of Chakra. The geographical advantages that were originally created with great difficulty disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yi Kang took advantage of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon's distraction and used the Scorch style, oversteaming kill skill to directly attack the big sword Samahata in his hand. Samahata screamed and screamed from the burns. The scorching heat coming from the handle of the knife forced the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish ghost to let it go temporarily. The 12 Sand Shinobi ninjas and the remaining Mist Shinobi ninjas engaged in close combat. The original encirclement collapsed. A brutal fight began. Yi Kang, who was no longer under siege, became murderous when facing the Ziguishan Puffer Demon who had lost his sword Samahata, and he immediately turned from defense to offense. Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato are waiting for their chance in the town. Through the perception of ninjutsu and the vision provided by the crows circling high in the sky, he had been quietly waiting for an opportunity. Seeing that the Sand Shinobi ninja began to deliberately pull the battlefield. Take the Mist Shinobi away from the dense forest full of water. Several seriously injured Mist Shinobi ninjas and a Sand Shinobi Genin who was so seriously injured that he almost lost his ability to fight were left alone. Yamanaka Kei and Namikaze Minato immediately realized that their opportunity had arrived. 3 crows carrying the Flying Thunder God spell, under the control of Yamanaka Kei, formed a V-shaped formation and shot down from the sky. One went straight to the injured Sand Shinobi Genin who had lost his ability to fight. Of the other 2, one aimed at the injured Mist Shinobi, and the remaining one went straight to the place where the big sword Samahata fell. Minato, the big sword Samahata. Yamanaka Kei stared at Namikaze Minato with shining eyes. Big knife Samahata. Mist Shinobi is the most special of the 7 ninja swords and the only one with life. Not only can it absorb the opponent's chakra, but it can also provide the absorbed chakra to the holder for use. It can also utilize the large amount of chakra stored to stimulate the regeneration of body cells. Even if you don't care about your appearance, you can merge with Samahata to become a fish man, allowing your body to survive completely freely in the water, and your water combat ability will increase significantly. Although in the original work he eventually backstabbed the user Hoshigaki Kisame, became a traitor, and joined 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee. But this thing really works well under normal circumstances. You really are. Facing his best friend whose eyes were shining, Namikaze Minato couldn't say anything to refuse and could only smile helplessly. He immediately activated the Flying Thunder God technique and disappeared from the spot. Chapter 16's level reward, entry copy. The ever-increasing distance and the fierce and tense battle left both the Sand Shinobi and the Mist Shinobi with no time to care about the injured companions who were left behind. 3 crows suddenly swooped down from the sky. A Mist Shinobi ninja who was urgently treating his own wounds suddenly looked up. Before he could take out his kunai, he beheaded the rapidly attacking crow. The moment his eyes met the crow's, he was affected by the mind-turning puppet curse technique released by Yamanaka Kei, and his mind was lost and he stood there in a daze. The next moment, Namikaze Minato appeared, and the kunai in his hand directly slashed across his neck. The golden light in the sunlight flashed by. Namikaze Minato had already reached the ninja that the other crow was targeting. Sniff. It was not until Namikaze Minato reaped the life of another mist shinobi ninja that blood spurted out from the neck of the mist shinobi ninja who was attacked first. A feeling of powerlessness and suffocation surged into his brain, and his eyes gradually dimmed. 3 crows flew through the dense forest like ghosts, providing Namikaze Minato with the best landing point for Flying Thunder God. And Namikaze Minato is worthy of the name of Golden Flash. The 6 people left on the battlefield were all killed before they could even last 10 seconds. Dong, 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 in the alley in the town. The heads of 4 mist shinobi ninjas were thrown at the feet of Yamanaka Kei by Namikaze Minato. He reappeared in the alley, carrying a seriously injured and unconscious sand shinobi on his shoulder, a similarly unconscious mist ninja in his right hand, and a big sword samahata in his left hand. He threw the still hot samahata into Yamanaka Kei's hands. "Minato is awesome." Yamanaka Kei grinned and praised his good friend for his reliability. After playing with samahata for a while, she was scalded by scorch style and was dizzy with her mouth wide open and tongue hanging out. He took out the scroll from the scroll bag on his chest and sealed it directly into the scroll. And the heads of the 4 mist shinobi ninjas on the ground. He also temporarily stored it using a sealing scroll. "Let your summoning beast find a suitable place to hide, and we will move out first?" Namikaze Minato held an unconscious prisoner in one hand and asked for his best friend's advice. The ship the 2 men took had already left after dropping them off at the port. If you want to read information from the heads of several ninjas, you must first find a safe and hidden base. We are not as familiar with the surrounding environment as the mist shinobi and sand shinobi. Instead of moving blindly, it is better to hide under their noses. Yamanaka Kei formed seals with his hands and directly unlocked the summoning technique. The 3 crows, which were several kilometers away, instantly returned to Konoha's bird summoning beast breeding house. Make the most standard hand seal for casting spells of the Yamanaka clan. He used the mind-transforming clone technique directly on the 2 unconscious captives. The 2 captives had no power to resist and control of their bodies was taken away. Yamanaka Kei used the transformation technique on the 2's bodies, turning them into glamorous girls. She even made a rather seductive pose towards Minato. He himself also used the transformation technique to transform himself into a wretched middle-aged man. Namikaze Minato wanted to say something several times but stopped himself. Finally, he sighed helplessly and imitated Yamanaka Kei's transformation, turning into a greasy middle-aged man. After removing the smell of blood and other possible tracking smells left on each of them was holding a girl who looked very charming. He checked into the most luxurious hotel in the town with great arrogance. In the largest suite in the hotel, Namikaze Minato set up a simple soundproofing barrier. Yamanaka Kei directly used the mind-reading technique to start reading the memories of the 2 captives. Mind-reading technique, also known as memory-reading technique. It is one of the ninjutsu that must be mastered to enter the analysis class. Because it requires extremely high mental strength, even in Konoha, there are only a handful of people who can master it. Inside the analysis class, Yamanaka Kei is often praised for his yin-dun mastery, which allows him to read a person's one-day memory in less than 60 seconds. But only a few people know it. It only takes Yamanaka Kei less than 30 seconds to read through a normal Jonin's memory of one day. After the entry, know a little, was upgraded to know most in the ninja world, the speed was more than doubled. 5.5 hours from noon to evening. Yamanaka Kei read through all the memories of the 2 captives in the past 2 years and recorded all the important information on the scroll. Dang, S-level professional task, obtaining Sand Shinobi and Mist Shinobi War Intelligence, has been completed, and you will get 1 entry extraction opportunity, 1 entry copy opportunity. Yamanaka Kei had just finished organizing the scroll in his hand. When I heard the system prompt sound coming from my mind, my whole body went numb. What did he hear? Entry duplication opportunity. Copy opportunity. Almost subconsciously, Yamanaka Kei turned his head and looked at Namikaze Minato, who was standing in front of the window of the room. Insight into time and space. The long-desired flying thunder god technique finally found its way. Without any hesitation, Yamanaka Kei directly used this copy opportunity on Namikaze Minato. The entry was copied successfully. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the purple entry, Insights into Time and Space. Host: Yamanaka Kei. Occupation: Ninja. Activated entries: Time Traveler, red; Master of Yin Dun, purple; Insight into Time and Space, purple. Whatever you call will come true, purple; King of the Ninja World, blue; Handsome, blue. Inactive entries: Cricket Pupa, white; Fragile Skin and Hard Life, white. Term extraction: 1 entry gift, 1. An indescribable feeling came over Yamanaka Kei.
The space around him began to slowly change in his perception.
In the original world, space is elusive, intangible, ethereal and impossible to perceive. And with the blessing brought by the entry, spatial veins began to emerge, and the spatial nodes had nowhere to hide. Even the tiniest spatial fluctuations could not escape his perception. The spatial coordinates that I had tried countless times before but could not perceive were now extremely clear at this moment. Constructing the flying thunder god